You're live now.
Okay, should have done it. Well, that document that they put out for UAV flyers, it only had 9 requirements in it. Hey, Kelly.
Hey, Jim.
Hey, Kelly.
Hey, how's it going?
I'm looking. The FAA is sneaking a document through, calling it an advisory circular. You know how there are no community-based organizations right now? Well, what got me was that the AMA was calling themselves FAA CBO authorized, or that 48, this document. But I looked up the FAA site, and they've got no authorized CBOs. So they put out this new document, which was canceled by the, B, okay? And now this is AC Advisory Circular 91-57C. And it's a draft, but it sits there and totally restricts, how I see it, all the FAA guys to being basically Part 107. And how they're doing it is that this document is the advice for community-based organizations for what they should put in their rules and regulations, which is not even in place in Parts 107. I mean, they've got one here for medical, like you were flying aircraft. I mean, this thing is got everything covered, and they've got parts where you should be turning around and reporting your own conditions. And the visual observer not only has to be by you, but can't be using technological, like a walkie-talkie. They don't say that, but they say technological devices. And of course, you can't use anything more than eyeglasses to see. But they've added this. Now, all pilots, like if you're flying an airliner, you have to adhere by these tests, medical things. Now they've got alcohol and prescription drug use. This is all what should be in the CBOs if they want to be admitted as a community-based organization. And all non-Part 107 people will have to fly by a community-based organization, right? Like the AMA. And this, look at this, for the first time ever, you're seeing illness, medication, stress, alcohol, fatigue, emotion.
Yeah, I like that one. Emotion is the recreational flyer emotionally.
And
upset.
the visual observer is supposed to be stopping you from flying. Look at this. If the visual observer, okay, or participating in the UAS person knows that he has a reason to feel a physical or mental condition that would interfere with the safe operation of the UAS. What is that? What would that be? What's the list? My back is killing me, and I take medication for that. Does that now take me out of the game? I don't know. Mitch is an actual pilot.
It's probably talking about prescription drugs.
Well, yeah, but which ones? It doesn't say it.
Yeah, I'm not sure. Yeah, it doesn't really. It kind of leaves a broad statement.
Right. It's telling them that the CBO should have a comprehensive safety guidelines for alcohol and prescription drug use. Well, what's the AMA going to do? Call out, okay, you can't have Motrin, or, for women who get cramps, they take whatever that medication is, that light narcotic. What is that? Like Vicodin, something like that when you get a tooth pulled. I mean, this thing is crazy. I've got it on our Facebook group site. This document goes through.
It does say drafts, so maybe they haven't
Well, the reason it's a draft is they're actually giving you a chance to complain. See, there was originally only the 8 rules here.
So coming from the world of where we actually fly, and
Right.
I don't remember. Are you a flight paramedic?
No,
Okay.
ground and tactical.
Okay. So coming from the world of flight aviation, medical aviation, our pilots have to report virtually every prescription drug that they're prescribed, even if it's narcotic, non-narcotic, antibiotic, whatever it is. They have to report that to their flight surgeons. I like
Here's the thing, Kelly. I'm on morphine right now, and everybody knows it for my back.
right.
That in no way, because it's been over 10 years, inhibits how I speak, how I see, how I operate, and all that. But if I put morphine down on there, you can bet your ass I'd be cut out as from a CBO.
You'd most likely lose your 107 over it.
See?
So,
Right.
But, I don't know. I don't necessarily disagree with the medical stuff. I don't necessarily agree with all the other stuff. I guess it is what it is.
Well, if anything, they need to be more refined on what they.
See, and that's part of it. I'm sorry, Drone. What's your first name?
Justin.
Justin. Okay. Nice to meet you, Justin. I don't know if we've met before or not, but I kind of agree with you. When you have something like this open vague like that, there's so much room for interpretation that it's just going to get ugly before it gets any better. And I do like the fact that they did put it up for draft. And I was just looking at it earlier tonight, and that they put it out as a draft, and that they're actually asking for opinion, public input. So
The thing is, this is kind of sneaky because we only have till August 9th.
I know, and that's the government, but you know, the wheels of government tend to turn slowly. But the other hand is, you know, we put in our input. If you choose to do that, are they going to listen to it? You know, I don't know. Government's the government. They're going to do what they want.
I'm a little off on that input because I went to it. Let me go to my downloads here and bring that up. You have to actually open that up as a document. Let's open it with LibreOffice
I'm looking
here.
at it as Flight Standard Service Draft Advisory Circulars open for comment.
Right. And
So
here's,
I'm in the process of opening it up right now.
this would be your log to comment on.
Sure. Yep.
Now, I find this a little weird. How would you do this?
I honestly, I've not looked at it. Mine just opened. It doesn't look like that at all.
It doesn't?
No, it actually gives you.
Can you pull yours up on yours? You can't, can you?
I'm
On
not
your screen?
Yeah. I'll try.
There's several other things here, like saying it doesn't mention the 250 grams at all, anywhere. And it says that you have to have it doesn't call them goggles. It calls them an FPV device. And if you take the FPV device off, you have to be able to have visual line of sight with your aircraft right away.
Jim, I'm not able to share that.
That's all right. That's the one I pulled down. I pulled it down from their site.
So if you want to just look at what I'm looking at, if you go to their FAA site, and I just basically did a search. I did AC 91-57C. Do that search, and the very first link that comes up says Flight Standard Service Draft Advisory Circles open for comment. And that's what I clicked on and was looking at it.
Okay, good. I'll do that. What got me started on all this was this AMA action newsletter. Say the FAA advisory circular, which it supersedes B, which ended in 2019. Oh yeah, okay. It says it replaces it. Yeah. But they're acting like they've been made this CBO recognition. Well, they haven't been recognized. It's not on the FAA website as anybody having been recognized yet. And there was 18 months stated from the FAA from January 20th. CBOs, all CBOs had 18 months to apply. So now if they want to apply, they have to follow these recommendations. Well, they're recommendations. Do we have to follow them or don't we?
Well, you see from the way they worded that too, they're putting fixed wing pilots in their own category, like the fixed wing planes.
Yeah. Of course, it still says now. See, it says strictly flown for recreational purposes, but doesn't mention anything about that 249 grams or 250 grams. Then it's saying, of course, schools, UAS flown as part of educational programs won't count. Here's the part about the visual observer. Now, it does say a goggle-like device. Okay.
It's saying if you're using goggles.
If then you have to have a visual observer at all times. And the visual observer, has to be co-located. He can't be walkie-talkie, because that was my problem with the trust exam. Do you remember when we went over that?
I was, you guys must have talked about that on another night. I was not on, and I just recently learned about this trust exam. I'm going to have to go check it out and take it, but
you can't even fail it. Jim did it on a live. Like, if you get the answer wrong, it'll just let you keep
nice.
answering
In fact,
until you get it right.
We got 2 wrong, and one of them was the goggles thing that I was arguing about.
I got 2 questions wrong, and they were the visual observer questions.
Where do you find that trust exam? Is it on the FAA website?
Yeah, it's actually on there's 16. They list 16 places, like the Boy Scouts of America, the AMA, Pilot Institute.
There's just 16 links, and then you just pick one and click on it, and it'll take you. It takes like 5, maybe 10 minutes at the most.
See if we can do that. FAA trust exam. There's the portal.
Yeah, see, and then you just scroll down, and it'll give you.
Oh, well, it automatically comes up to that Pilot Institute. That's wild.
You just do a regular Google search on that?
Yeah.
Okay.
There's the 16 sites.
And like I said, you can't fail it. It's impossible to fail.
Yeah, it's not made to fail. It's made to educate.
Right.
Hold that screen there, Jim.
That's on. Let me.
You weren't kidding.
There's the. Let me copy that. See if I can't put that in my. I can put it in my own link, right? Should be able to.
No worries, Jim. I got it here now.
All right. I just can't stand when you go to your own channel and you get commercials.
Yeah.
Right, there's the link to the 16 different places you can go to.
You can do it through Drone U.
I laughed at that one.
I think you could. Can't you even do it through Remote Pilot 101?
No, surprisingly, I think they were one of the only ones that wasn't on that list, weren't they?
I don't.
Right?
Unless they have a link on their own website for it.
I wonder.
Because I don't think they were on that list of the 16.
I know. Let me put that back up so we can all look together because I don't see them.
Yeah, I remember somebody saying something about that last time that they were.
Yeah,
surprised
you're right. I'm looking at it right now, and they're not listed on there.
Which is surprising because they're one of the, if not the most popular.
Yeah. Hey, Ron, buddy, what's going on, my friend?
Hey, how you guys doing?
There's another medical guy that flies around.
And the trust test, yeah, you got 3 paramedics. And the trust test, is more or less educational, not made to fail, but then they turn around and tell these CBOs. Now, this AMA release just makes it look like they were made a CBO. And I said, wait a minute, let me go. So I went to the FAA site, and they're not listed as one. But then you see the 44809. That's an easy document. We've looked at that before, and basically it's covered by the trust test. But they do list these community-based organizations again.
Now, Jim, do you think that people should have to take this test and do the registration before they are able to buy a drone, like have to show that at the store?
I don't know what they're going to do with that. Would they
I would
make?
think it would be a better idea to do it that way, because at least people have to learn something before they go just grab one off the shelf.
You're going to get. This is leading right into Part 107, if you're asking me, and I wouldn't be surprised if they didn't update 107 if this gets pushed through.
Jim, I kind of walked in the middle of things. What are you guys going over?
This is recommendations for community-based organizations for recreational flyers, and some of these that like we were just on include. I wanted to get back to that medical stuff. The medical part, because I remember Mike was laughing about, he could be stoned or something like that. And then they go into a whole list of, look at this one. You should be proficient in FPV before you ever start flying FPV.
You think?
How do you do that?
I mean, I guess simulators, learning from other people. But I mean, it's not like they're going to be able to monitor every stupid little thing everybody's doing. I mean, what are they going to do about how are they going to enforce the whole drug thing? Is it going to be just at the point to where if you have a 107, you have to take randoms with them or what?
Well, even something like this. Now, is the AMA going to make you take 10 hours of flight simulation before you can put goggles on and fly an FPV device? I mean, there's no clarification here at all. And these are the recommended safety guidelines, And it's always recommended.
If you leave these rules that broad of a statement too, it's gonna cause a lot of problems. Because then all these cities, towns, states are gonna interpret it different ways.
Exactly. That's the problem.
Jim, one of the things I learned yesterday, I was talking with Kelly yesterday about one of the reasons I called you too. I guess on the FAA drone zone, there is the the non-part 60 or non-part 61 recurrent test.
Right.
Apparently it's not similar, but in a fashion where you can't fail it, but you can do your recurrent 107. It updates you to your 107 to the current date that now you took the test, but it also allows you to fly past the civil twilight. I didn't know how much, if anything, you knew about that.
That's as long as you have the lighting that's with the 3 statute mile requirement,
right?
Which those Arc 5 lights do. They cover that.
And the firehouse ones too. Those are.
Is it the firehouse ones that are a lot more obnoxious?
Oh, those things are bright as shit. They'll blind you.
Good.
These are the Arc 5s from Firehouse.
Yeah, I got 2 of those. I got a red and a white one.
And you gave some away, didn't you?
Yeah, I gave 2 away. I gave one to Adrian and then one in the drawing.
And then the older ones, which work just fine, I just don't have the case. See, I put Velcro on it, and it just comes.
But it only has
way.
two of the krill LEDs.
No, they both have 5.
Oh, okay.
They both have 5. I have different colored ones. I got the red, green, and white.
They're not
Look at-
cheap, but they're worth the money. That's for sure.
No, it was $100 for a set of 4.
Really? Wow.
Well, we don't even know what the FAA remote ID module of transponder is going to cost us. Hey, Bill. Happy Tuesday, everyone. Thanks, buddy. Robert Glazier, Jody, Stevie, Capture Life. There was a New York meetup we got to play. Some of Carlos's. Hey, Mel. Tomas. Who am I missing? Chris. Steve Carpenter. Chris Wedgeworth.
I got a video coming up hopefully the next week when I get home, and all my footage from the trip out west.
Oh, good.
I did one short little video. I don't know if you saw it. It was just the 360 camera. It's not the best quality camera, but it does some neat shots, some good action stuff.
No, your visual observer can't use binoculars. It's a 19-page document that they're adding on to being.
What's the whole deal with the binoculars, though? Like, wouldn't that help you kind of be able to see in long distances around what you're actually observing?
I think, Justin, that could be a depth perception issue. I'm wondering.
I mean, yeah, you could be right.
It's hard enough to see a Mavic 2 Pro 1,000 feet away. I don't know if you could catch it quick enough on binoculars before you hit a tree or something like this.
Well, that's like the minis, man. You lose those after like 500-600 feet. Yeah. Anybody who tells you different's lying. I mean, unless you got like 5 firehouse strobes attached to it.
And they work during the day too, especially if you have it on the back of the drone. Put that white light on the back.
Well, that's the thing too, is that color that DJI uses for their drones, it just blends in with the sky too.
Mm-hmm. I wonder if that's why they made it a little gray with that Mavic 2, because the Phantom 4s are still white.
And actually on a bright sunny day, they get lost in the clouds too.
Oh yeah. I did that one for Benson Island, and I had to move the drone up and down so I could find it against the clouds.
Hey, here's a situation I ran into on this trip. I went out one day on my own.
Right.
And stopped and pulled over at this lake. And personally, I thought I was out of the national park too. But I pulled into this parking lot along this lake, and we had actually went to part of on the Olympic Peninsula, part of the park that's called the Hurricane Ridge. And we came out of that, and as soon as you drive out of there, you see the sign that says, Olympic National Park. And I drove, 30 miles. The rest of the guys went and did their own thing. We all met up that night. But anyhow, long story short, I pulled up this lake, saw a guy flying a drone.
Right.
I sat there and watched him for a while. I figured I was going to wait till he got done. Well, he had a Mavic 2. And I got all my stuff out and everything. And I, especially when I'm away and I don't know the area, I always check the Before You Fly or whatever app I'm using. It was in the national park, and this guy's flying. How it let him fly, how it did not alarm him in any way, I don't know. But I got all kinds of warning signs on my screen. I'm like, oh shit, I didn't realize this was in the park. Still, in that area, you drive in and out of the park all the time.
Is that Snake River Canyon?
No, no, this was actually up in Washington State. But
okay. I'm sorry.
We were clear over on the Olympic Peninsula, just south of Vancouver, and like I said, when I checked, I'm like, how the hell is he flying? And then I actually walked up to him, and he asked me, he said, "Do you have a problem with me flying my drone?" I'm like, "I don't, but somebody else might." I said, "Do you realize you're putting in the national park?" "No, I'm not." "Well, that's my map screwed up here." And I showed him my screen.
It alerted you?
Oh, yeah. It didn't alert him, though. And it let him take off.
I'm wondering if he doesn't have all the updates done. Do you? I wonder if that could play a reason.
Yeah, but, I would think a big national park like that would have been updated a long time ago.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah,
Hey,
but
Carlos.
you don't think there might be people out there that just never did the updates at all on their drones?
Oh, I'm sure there is.
Well, see, now this thing
Right.
calls for recreational
That's
flyers should
crazy.
routinely check for software updates, and if available, consider updating to the latest manufacturer upgrades prior to flight. What does that mean? What does consider mean? I mean, my Maverick 2 Pro went into update all modules, and it took me 2 weeks to get it working again. Because
Hey,
what the
Jim,
hell? What does update all modules mean?
line of sight. That doesn't literally mean the drone, a light, like you guys were just talking about, some kind of bright light is enough.
No, it means actual line of sight. And it even says that you can't take off from the top of a building and go 400 feet from the top of the building. You have to be lower than 400 feet. They're meaning actual ground level now. That's stated in here.
Cool. How are you,
There's
Ron, and everybody else? Justin. Is that Kelly? That is
Hey.
Kelly, right? What's up, Kelly?
What's going on, man?
Well, that's the thing, too, is I think the FAA is more worried about your maps and all that shit being updated because, they control the geo zones and all that stuff.
Yeah, but look,
DJI puts in there.
you're talking about flight over people. They don't want flight over people. They're talking about maintenance and inspections. No drone company puts out. Have you seen DJI put out one maintenance manual, and that was for the Inspire 1. I have it in my documents. It is ridiculous what it doesn't say in it. Procedures for night flying. Again, the 3 statute miles, but we all knew that one.
Is this a new document, Jim?
This is enough for you to throw you out of the sport. Yeah. It's a 19-page document for community-based organizations. It's their suggestions, or it's actually their guidelines if you want to be accepted as a community-based organization. And the problem is that if you want to fly as a recreational pilot, you have to be following the rules of a community-based organization. And Ron, this is one of the ones right here that we were talking about. Remember when the medications I take, guys who take smoke pot for their whatever, what's that, glaucoma or something like that?
Glaucoma.
And they even list fatigue and emotion. I mean, stress. Come on, guys.
They want
When
you
I'm drinking my
sober.
wine, I can't go out and fly.
If you're in the midst of a divorce for that 6 months, you can't go out and fly.
Or if your drone offends somebody in their feelings. That could fall into
Ironically
that, too.
enough, it was after my divorce that I became a pilot and bought a drone just to relieve that stress.
Makes sense. Okay, so this is on top of the trust test. This is something that they just wrote.
Yes.
They want you to know. I
They
guess.
canceled the prior circular, which was 91-57B, and made this. It's an advisory circular.
Sound like
it's-
Captain Kirk for a second.
But it's not final. You said that they're taking suggestions on it, right?
Right.
So it's
I
not
see
final yet.
That one there is the recreational flyer emotionally upset. I guess that counts when some jackass comes up and starts bitching at you about flying your drone. Now you look emotionally upset.
There was also
It's
something
so
about.
vague.
Oh yes, it's everything is vague on here. It's ridiculously vague,
And it's kind of on purpose so they can whatever. Anyway, it's all good.
But these are all the things that are supposed to be reported. Loss of control through blah, 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 blah. And one I saw, recreational flyer errors. What does that mean?
Probably, I'm not sure that's pertaining to like if you do something that you're not supposed to do. Or maybe you don't have control of your drone, something like that.
See, they still can't control the indoor flights.
What does that mean?
I don't know what any of these mean. Well, okay, structural failure of the UA. Matt's 2 screws loosened up on a how many millimeters wide is or centimeters wide is that Tiny Hawk 2, Carlos? Or inches wide, would you say that is?
75. The Tiny Hawk 2 is 75 millimeters, I think. Motor to motor. Is that what you're asking me?
Yeah. All right. So Matt broke his arm on that, so he would have to report that structural failure.
Matt. Oh. I guess when it cracked, yeah. Put a paper in. What does it say here?
So, Jim,
Yeah.
can I circle back to that trust test thing again?
Go ahead, brother.
All right, thanks. You know how you and Justin, I was asking you guys, what's this trust test all about? I'm not really sure where to find it and how to take it and whatever.
Right.
Okay, well, check this out.
You just did it.
I just did it while we've been talking.
You know that's supposed to be wallet size, right?
Well, you know, whatever. I can always. But
When you do your laundry, leave it in the pants.
for any of those 107 pilots out there, I literally just opened the computer while on this program. Haven't even studied anything for it. Took it and got 100%. It's not difficult at all.
That is the whole idea, to educate, not punish.
Well, that's why I said, do you think you should have a certain knowledge base before they let you even purchase a drone? I mean, because a lot of these people don't learn. I didn't learn about any of this stuff until after I'd purchased my first drone and did a bunch of stupid shit with it.
I was talking about this with someone, but they said it was too hard to keep track of it. You should, well, no, I suggested before you are allowed to buy a drone, you should present the trust card or something saying, I read or I'm informed that I know I have to register it and I have to do this and such and such.
Well,
Otherwise, they shouldn't be able to sell it.
Well, your registration and trust, isn't that all public information?
Yeah. Yep.
So I'm saying companies could have
Public
like,
where? Who knows
like
to look for it? And
I'm
if
saying
let's
if you
just say, and I'm serious, let's just say I live in the Bronx and my wealthy Uncle Ron bought me a drone and I have no internet. I don't have access to internet, but you know what I'm saying? So now I got a drone. What do I do with it? How do I know anything? And I'm you know.
That's the whole thing. The government has not done PSAs, public service announcements, and all that. I mean, you know, drones are still getting bad raps in the media as weapons of mass destruction, for God's sakes. You know, we're out there taking pictures.
But think about if you came into a Walmart and they said, well, we need to take a copy of your registration and your trust test before we let you purchase a drone. Think about how many idiots, you know, that are just lazy. They're going to be like, you know what, forget this. I don't want to do all that. And
here's a question too. You know, there's a difference, like where Carlos lives versus where I live, out in the middle of the sticks. You know, how many of your law enforcement do you think is going to be starting to be aware of this stuff? You know, if somebody complains you're flying a drone and, you know, cop has to come investigate it. He shows up. You think the first question out of his mouth is, you have your trust certification or your 107? Has anybody ever run into that?
No, and I've had 5 police visits. Instead of them even asking, I have that all on one piece of paper, including my driver's license. And I just hand them that sheet. It's got the driver's license, the certification from the FAA for Part 107. I added the trust test to it, and along with my COA, Certificate of Airspace Authority, because I did it. I do all this stuff because of the neighbors I have and the problems I go through. But I don't know. You know, I wonder about insulin because,
Well, then you got to wonder about sugar.
well, anybody taking schizophrenic medication, they're not even allowed to get driver's licenses, are they?
Why not?
Because not schizophrenic, seizure medicine.
Oh, that's
Because you
different.
could have a seizure while driving.
I guess that's I don't know.
Well, Ron
Makes
could
sense, though.
probably answer this though too. But if you have heart issues, don't you lose your pilot's license if they find out
We
about it?
actually have a pilot that did have an issue, and he did lose his. Actually, two pilots. One is going to be coming back, and the other one is done. He had to. He left
Yep.
aviation.
Yeah, the FAA
To
has,
answer Ron's question, I think, like what Jim did when he handed the officers all the documents, I think that's the best time to be stewards of this, of what we do and educate those officers. You know, just a few weeks back, I flew the Missouri River looking for a person that drowned. And I met with our county sheriff, and I showed him my license, and I showed him this, that, and the other. And though they did not hire me to fly that, I happen to know the person and I know the family, so I chose to go fly it. But I still let the officers know I was out there, made sure they were aware of my certification, and they're absolutely cool with it.
Not for nothing, but in
Yeah.
that particular situation, I would think they would just be happy that somebody was willing to look and search, regardless of certification.
Well, sure they were. Sure they
Okay.
were. And they had their own drones out too. And unfortunately, it was just too windy. So their policies, they brought their drones in. I went out and flew. I didn't have any issues. I mean, it was windy, but I was still able to fly.
Oh, they've got videos now. This is actually updated. This is the Public Safety and Law Enforcement Toolkit. Know your authority, unauthorized drone operations. It's a video. I can't play an FAA video, can I?
Why not?
I'm about to leave the FAA site. Can you do that? Okay, without getting in trouble, can we do that?
Yeah, it shouldn't be an issue.
You'll be the first to find out.
Yeah. What do you call it? The YouTube. Well, we're not commenting on it. The YouTube.
copyright.
Thank you. Why did I get myself stuck on that? I want to get back to this. There was a whole list, and I see people starting to make videos about this now. Something about 3.5. Let me go back 2 pages there. See.
Hey, Justin, just to go back and answer your question real quick. It depends on what type of flying that you're doing as far as, what Kelly and I do. We're under a different, like under a 135. Like I said, the one pilot he was mentioning, she's went and got her annual physical, but it took the FAA 3 months to catch up to that. All of a sudden, she got a phone call one day. Said, "Hey, we noticed you got this problem, and you're offline as of today." But it took them 3 damn months to find that.
Yeah, my grandpa had heart issues, and that's one of the reasons why he lost his pilot's license.
Yeah.
He stopped
It all
flying.
depends if you're out crop dusting or if you're out doing like Part 135, stuff like we do. But
Don't you have to
He's
pass
cool.
a physical once a year to keep
Yeah.
your license?
yeah,
He just flew little Moonies and Cessnas, and
Yeah, but
the occasional whatever plane they use to do the fire to drop. He used to do that.
and
You ever
the-
hear
you know,
stories of people dropping out of the sky, and it just happens to be that somebody went to grab water with those planes and scoop somebody up at the same time, and then when they drop the water to put the fire out, they happen to drop the guy out too. Never heard of stories like that?
I think that was an urban myth.
Or maybe animals. I've heard of stories like that.
Well, on that trust test, they said that the site that you took the trust test through did not keep any information, but the FAA obviously got your name and address, so whatever, because they give you an ID number.
Yeah, they gave the authentication token, what they're calling it. I took mine through Drone U.
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
You should have done it through the Boy Scouts.
But I mean, if you
Quite
already, if
honestly,
you're,
Jim, I just scrolled down and I clicked, and whichever one clicked, it happened to be Drone U. So I just
That's
did
cool.
that.
I mean, if you already have a registration and the F-107, they already have all your information anyway. So it's just another certificate.
Yeah, in fact, it tells you how many there are. Yeah, Steve, thanks. Fair use. Do you think it is? Wait, you think it is fair use that I can play that?
If you occasionally pause it and we're talking over it, they're not going to get you for it.
Oh my God, that yoga education! Remember that video?
Oh my God!
It turned into a Brazilian wax job. Yeah,
Oh, Jesus.
You don't remember that?
Kelly missed that one.
I obviously missed that one too.
Well, I'm sorry, I was reading a thing over here. What'd you say?
We all need to be commenting on this by August 9th, and I have it in the description of this video, who to comment to and where to comment. But Kelly's right. There is a pull-down sheet that they suggest that you use to make your comments. I'm surprised you can't pull that up, because the one I pulled down, it made me download the document, Kelly.
Yeah.
And that's what I use LibreOffice. I don't pay for Microsoft Office. So that's the one I used to open it. And that's what it looked like.
Hey, Kelly, by August 9th, people need to be commenting on us reporting live. Just
Yeah. And this gets back to the medical ones, but there were other ones. Emergency procedures, intermittent radio, recommended safety standards, sustained loss, weak, intermittent radio signals. Who am I going to be telling this to?
This is all for drones 250 grams and higher.
It does
Yes.
not mean no. It does. It says recreational flyers. Period. There is no.
And how did you get your hands on this? How do you know about this?
The first thing I did was I got aggravated by who are these people? The AMA.
Mm-hmm.
I saw this and the AMA action alert. They're releasing, and they're talking about this CBO recognition will allow the AMA to continue to safely be blah, 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 blah. So I went to the FAA website, and no CBOs, community-based organizations, have actually been approved yet. So then I went and looked at the bottom where they said, check here for the advisory circulars. And I went to this advisory circular, which leads you to, no, I'm sorry, this is the actual 44809, which leads you to the advisory circular 91-57C, which replaces B, which didn't have all this nonsense in it. That was like the 336 exemption for recreational flyers, where this one is acting like you're piloting a United Airlines aircraft.
Hey, Jim, 400 AGL said the 107 does not require to take the trust test. Do you guys have to take that or no?
No, you can fly. Well, let's argue. If you're flying as a recreational pilot and not under 107, you're not doing commercial work, don't you have to take the trust test and abide by those rules?
I would agree with that.
I mean, my opinion, I would just take it and have it just to have it.
It's almost like saying motorcycle and driver's license is the same. It just depends what you're driving. Kind of, sort of.
Jim, what was that thing? I saw a video this week. I should have watched it a little more thoroughly, but if I understood it correctly, apparently the FAA kind of snuck this in recently in reference to the CBO, that if you, for some reason, get stopped or questioned by any kind of law enforcement or whatever, that you have to show or acknowledge some kind of proof that you have knowledge of the CBO of where you're at. Am I explaining that clearly?
No, say that again, because like class A, B, or C airspace?
No.
Where you at?
This I wish I could find this guy's video, but he said the FAA now is apparently they snuck this in recently, and apparently a lot of people don't know about it. That you have, if for some reason you're out flying somewhere and you're stopped by any kind of law enforcement,
Right.
and you are questioned, that you have to show proof that you have knowledge of the CBO.
Oh, yeah.
In the area that you're at.
Whether that area is covered, like if you're flying in an AMA field,
Right.
I don't know what other CBOs there are.
Yeah, I don't either.
That's what they were saying, the trust test. They said that's what that was for. If a law enforcement officer stops you, you're supposed to show them that. And then obviously if you have a registration, you would pile that on top of it.
Well, that's
or
going to be on
107.
that's going to be on your aircraft, your registration number. But the thing is, these are the guidelines right here in front of you for community-based organizations. So there obviously are none yet because this advisory circular isn't even out yet. It's now out for comment.
That's a good point, Jim. And if I'll just reiterate, even you told us earlier, this is still a draft.
Right.
This is not the formal document. So I would urge you guys, if you have that, to make those comments.
Quick community-based organization. I thought the idea of a drone was to basically have a camera with you that can go up in the air, not to fly it in a certain area, right? So the idea is listen. Ron was on his bike, he's riding, all of a sudden he sees something that's worth, flying and taking a picture. He's got to worry if there's a community-based organization close by or that there is.
No. He has to fly within the rules of a community-based organization. You do not have to join the AMA. You don't have to join them, but you have to fly within the rules of a community-based organization. Pick one and fly within their set rules.
The question is,
pick one in the county or the community or the state.
United States of America.
What's your option?
Community
AMA?
Right now, I don't see an option. Do you?
That's what I'm saying. Is there even any other companies that do fields like AMA does?
I have not ever heard of anybody else, but anybody who follows these guidelines can be a 501c3 and become. I don't happen to own 10 acres of land where I can allow you guys to fly, so I can't be a CBO.
The question is, if you're out, like I just was on vacation somewhere, all of a sudden I want to, like Carlos said, I want to stop and pull over. Do I need to know, am I within, somewhere out in Idaho where I was? Do I need to know, hey, am I within a certain CBO where my current location is? And do I need to know?
That's getting a little bit petty. Just go up, fly under 400 feet, or most of it, I don't know. I don't see the reason to really go up that high. Maybe there is a reason. I guess the mountain is up that high, but
at 500 feet starts the airspace for regular aircraft. Like a Cessna.
I understand what I'm saying, but you don't really need to go up to 400 feet, which is not an issue.
Carlos, when you come out here, you will see.
Because of the mountain ranges?
Yeah, but then how many planes are flying over those mountains?
No, sometimes you can't even be halfway up a mountain, and you're at 400 feet.
No, I understand.
Yeah.
Hey, guys.
Good evening, Mel. I just think it's getting a little bit kooky.
I just want, if I can interrupt just for a minute, and then I'll bow out because I don't want Jim to mute me because I talk too much. I just wanted to clarify my statement that I made about the trust test and 107 pilots. Personally, me. I have not taken the trust test. I have no intention of taking it because every flight that I do is going to be a video. The intent is to put video on my monetized YouTube channel. Therefore, every flight that I do comes under 107 regulations, and I don't need to fly as a recreational pilot. If you're going to fly recreationally and you hold a 107, then you must also hold the trust certificate. If you're going to fly for your nephew's birthday party and give him the video afterwards, okay, that would be recreational. If you're not flying recreational, I'd never fly my drone unless I'm flying it for work or for my YouTube channel. That makes it commercial.
Is that going to be your argument? Like if somebody comes up on you?
Because they even say in the trust test and in the guidelines for what are you doing,
right?
It goes back to that gray word of intent at the time you did it, right?
Right.
Every time I fly, I intend to use that footage on my YouTube channel in some fashion. Therefore, it's commercial 107. Therefore, the trust test does not apply to me.
Mel, FPV?
Huh?
FPV.
Even FPV. If I fly FPV, it would be for my YouTube channel. In furtherance of a business, it's 107 regulations.
Let me ask you another situation then, Mel.
Okay, one second, Justin. I want to answer Ron's question, and I think someone else's. As far as the community-based guidelines, it doesn't matter. Yeah, it doesn't matter where you are.
Right.
The AMA is nationwide. The Boy Scouts are nationwide. If the Boy Scouts become a CBO and someone asks you, what safety guidelines do you follow? You can say, well, I follow the Boy Scouts of America, by God. And that's all you got to say. It doesn't matter where you are. Doesn't matter. Nothing else matters. As long as you've got your drone registered, and if it requires to be, and you've got your trust certificate, and you follow ABC CBO guidelines, that's all that matters.
Well, you see right here, Mel, where they're getting you into what you're saying is that you've got to always claim you're doing 107. It says 2211. A person using UAS for any purpose other than recreational must be 107. So listen, tomorrow when this crap gets approved for recreational pilots, they'll make it part of the 107. Which knocks me out of the air because with the medications I take, I can't be a 107 pilot because I've had back surgeries. Mitch was saying his eyesight knocks him out of being a pilot.
No, because he can wear corrective lenses to be able to fly.
It states that in here too, contact and corrective lenses.
Yeah, that's all legal to use. You don't have to use just your naked eye to be.
That's like telling a pilot no more glasses.
Yeah, exactly. Right. Or a car driver, no more glasses. No. I disagree with that 100%.
This is the first time that we've ever seen medical requirements, though, Mel. What is this, a tryout? What do you think?
They're not specifying any medical requirements.
You did? Yeah. I showed them right here. Look at this.
Specific
recommends the inclusion of this checklist. Okay, so that's illness.
So what's the difference? What's the difference between that and you and me now, 107, working flying 540 kilovolt power lines?
107 doesn't state this.
Yes, it does. You can't fly 8 hours bottle to throttle 107. If you're under a lot of stress, you're not supposed to fly.
It states alcohol.
Yeah. If you're taking something that alters your ability to function, you're not supposed to fly. Just like any pilot or driving your car or operate heavy machinery.
Who's deciding on your illness? Your illness or any symptoms that might affect the operation of the. Who's deciding that factor? Your visual observer?
You are, as the pilot in command.
Well,
you know whether or not you're safe to fly.
no. I'm talking about the recreational pilot. Look, it's right.
Even
This is
even
recreational.
they are a pilot in command, even though they're a recreational pilot. They
That's
know
the
if
alcohol.
they can drive or safe to drive or safe to operate a bulldozer, then they're safe to fly a drone.
Well, how do I know when you're emotionally upset? Because you're a prick. You're probably always emotionally upset.
I am, but you know, my level of my level of tolerance might be different than your level of tolerance.
I have
Just
no
like-
tolerance. I'm like
Just
Ron,
like it takes
zero.
a half a bottle of Jack to get me drunk, and you can do it on smelling the bottle, you know. So
Bottle cap. Bottle cap. I'd be drunk. I haven't had anything to drink in 20 years.
you know, a bottle cap probably get me drunk too because I ain't had much.
How much
drinking.
do you think they're really going to enforce the
They're not.
petty little things like this?
None of this is going to have any enforcement whatsoever.
I think it's a sneaky backdoor way in.
I think the
I
people
do.
above, the government above, whoever governs the FAA, I think they're legally
Department
bound.
of
They've gotta put
Transportation,
this down
Department
in
of
paper.
Defense.
They got to publicize this,
Yeah.
to kind of cover their ass. But
Right.
the FAA is still out for the big, the big lawbreakers. They're not going out and looking. Oh, well, you look
Exactly.
emotionally upset, and you should be flying the drone. I'm going to fine you.
Now, if
And we've always said 400 feet is 400 feet, period.
400 feet is 400 feet, period, above ground level,
Right.
period.
Listen,
no
the
matter
FAA
what.
does not enforce this. They come and like clean up and pick up after something happens. It's not like they're out there actively like
They're the
highway
janitor.
patrol.
Yeah, exactly. They're the janitor. They come clean up the mess and they try to teach you how not to make a mess next time.
All right.
Figure
I
out,
mean,
and figure out who to blame
is
Where
this
this is going to come
or
into
who is
play
responsible, whatever you want to call it.
is if you crash your drone, you smash it into a playground and hurt a couple kids. Now it goes to court.
right?
That's where this stuff's going to come into play.
Right.
I have a feeling
Get all
covered.
of this.
Right.
That's going to be more civil, I bet, more than anything. It's going to be
Yeah.
a civil issue
Yeah.
than
Right.
Sure it will be.
Yeah.
federal or
It
anything
could
else.
it could also be criminal as well.
But it gives the FAA
Danger.
their hands are clean. The FAA's hands are clean because
Yep.
hey, we told you to follow the rules.
Well, why should they be?
Exactly.
Why should they be involved? Like that's the Department of Motor Vehicles isn't going to get involved in car accidents.
You know,
The
America.
Department of Transportation and National Transportation Safety Board absolutely do get involved.
What I'm saying is, if I have an accident with Joe Schmo, I'm not going to go back to them and complain.
Well, no.
That's my point. So the FAA, what do they clean their hands from? What are they? What are they washing
from-
their hands from? That's what I'm
because-
asking.
Liability.
Oh,
It's liability. It takes any liability away from the
But
government
well,
allowing you
how
to
it-
fly. Listen, shut up and listen.
Okay.
It takes away any liability from the federal government allowing you to fly in the national airspace. When the Supreme Court already determined that 86 feet is the limit above someone's house, okay? No one talks about that anymore, but the FAA is allowing you to fly in the national airspace. You could sue the government for me hitting you on an allowed flight if my 55-pound,
You can't sue the government.
45-pound drone comes down and hits you.
That's like suing the government if somebody shoots you because they have gun law. That just makes no sense.
yeah,
Suing
and
the
it-
FAA.
more than taking the blame off of them, it allows them to more easily place the blame onto you.
I don't see any reason how anybody could sue the FAA for something that, like, I crash
They-
a drone into something. That
They
makes no
can't.
sense.
They can't. I mean, people can try, Carlos. People try to sue different things for a lot. I mean, great grandpa got cancer, so let's sue, the cigarette makers, right?
Yeah, I understand.
No, it's or my daughter broke her leg in a car crash, so I'm going to sue Chevrolet. Nah, it doesn't work that way. But
Sue
people
United
try.
Airlines because your seats don't
It-
accommodate my fat ass, and I need
Yeah.
2 of them, and you want to charge me for 1.5 of them.
There you go. Or you need 1.5, and they want to charge you for 2.
Yeah, exactly.
See, this discussion is getting a little heated, so we're all kind of emotionally stressed right now. So none of us will be allowed
Don't
to
go out and fly.
That's right. In fact, I'm going to go out and get me another cup of coffee so I can relax some more. But yeah, no, Ron, any CBO that actually becomes named a CBO, because like Jim said, he's absolutely right. There are no actual official CBOs out there yet. The
Right.
AMA is recognized by the FAA only because they've been working with the FAA for so long, and the FAA knows who the AMA is. So if you were to get asked that question right this minute, I'd say, yeah, I follow the safety guidelines of the AMA. You know, I happen to be a member of the AMA. I could even show them my membership card.
I've had more DJI updates screw up my aircraft than help it out. There's a point at which when you're flying, leave it alone, because they're making updates. The last update for the Mavic 2 Pro was the to allow the Mavic 2 Air to do some crap.
Yeah.
0.770.
That's what's got me pissed off about the smart controller, Jim.
Yeah.
You know?
And taking away the streaming from it, the smart controller, right?
I got a shit ton of updates on the smart controller that I have absolutely no use for because I don't have an Air 2, an Air 2S, a Mini, or anything else. I've got the Mavic 2 Pro.
Right.
That's the only thing that my smart controller should be required to be updated to. But because I'm 107 pilot and I do fly 107 commercially, you're required to have your equipment updated with the latest updates. So that sucks. And I agree with you, man. That sucks.
Where's the maintenance? I wish DJI would put out actual maintenance of the UAS and its components. Now, right now, there's a lawsuit. A guy named Lewis, I don't want to put him on, Russo was talking about it. Let me get off of this for a second because I want to give you the correct. It's a lawsuit for signing the executive order for right to repair. From what I've heard, it's basically for tractors.
Oh, I know what you're talking about, Jim. It's the guy from New York that fixes computers.
Right. The right to.
Oh,
yeah, he was battling Apple, and what he did was he teamed up with the guys that were battling John Deere over the same issue, and they combined together and did this massive lawsuit about. But I believe they lost that lawsuit, if I'm not mistaken, didn't they?
I think it's still open because I don't know this guy, but his channel is Louis Rossman.
Rossman, yeah, he does. He's the one that people will take their iMacs to, and Apple will tell them it's unrepairable.
Right.
And he'll literally do a $5 fix on the board and charge them like $20 and send them out the door and be like, here you go.
And there's a big bitch out there right now about they've got these. So when the battery dies, your phone needs to be thrown away because they've got the sealed battery now. You know, that's just another way to make you buy a $1,000 phone every 2 years.
Well, it's predatory is what it is, because that's the thing with the iPhone 12s is now you can't take parts out of one iPhone and put it in the other because every individual part is coded with a special number. And then they know if you're trying to replace parts, it will actually tell you. I watched a guy do a breakdown, and he took an iPhone 12, two of them, and switch the cameras around in them, and the phones recognized that they weren't the camera that went with the phone.
I'm going to bounce, Jim. I'm going to go smoke and get some more coffee.
All right.
Thanks for the link.
All right, buddy.
See
you.
No.
Bye, guys.
But that's the thing, though, is that Apple's predatory, though. They'll tell you that they can't fix it because they want you to buy a new product. When in reality, you can fix it. Like I said, watch Louis Rossman's shows sometimes. You want to see somebody who knows some shit about computers? That guy is intelligent.
I just happened to, the subject interested me, so I went and took a look at it. But I don't know that much about it. But right to repair, we have to get down to that, you know. And okay, this is just for if I understand it correctly, it's just down to John Deere, right? The fight was over the tractors.
Right. What it was they were having to hack the tractors in order to get by certain things that John Deere was putting in the algorithm of the tractor, like what ran it or whatever, the programming. And so what they were doing is they're actually hiring hackers, and they're hooking the laptops up to these tractors and bypassing certain stuff for them. And they can't work on their own tractors because everything is computerized, and John Deere wants to be the only one to work on it.
Listen, I saw John Deere. I didn't put up any of the videos I took from CES. They have got that they're wired. They have gotten to every university that does horticulture and agriculture. They have the list of every plant. They've got motorized heads that turn on these 100-foot boom arms. The guy told me they're 130-foot boom arms on either side, with 6 spray heads that turn around. It recognizes if it's a weed or a corn stalk. If it's a weed, it automatically sprays herbicide. If it's a corn stalk, it puts fertilizer in. I mean, that's how serious John Deere is right now.
Well, we
Hey,
had
guys,
some,
I'm gonna bounce out of here tonight. This has been a great podcast. I appreciate it. Have a good night.
See you, Kyle.
Night, Kelly.
well, we had that conversation before about how farmers these days definitely have it easier than their grandparents did. As far as you can make your entire farm self-automated now.
GPS.
But the same apple that had 57 vitamins in it does not have, you have to have 5 apples to get the same vitamins that one apple had in 1960, because you're not tilling the soil anymore.
Well, another thing is, too, is
Yeah.
everything's got preservatives added to it because
yeah.
we're mass producing everything. If you want an apple that's grown in Florida to reach California, you have to put certain things in it.
Nowadays, you don't even need dirt to grow stuff.
Hey, Justin, I tell you, there's a lot of truth in what you just said, mainly because I just experienced that. When I was in Washington a few weeks ago, we stayed at my friend's aunt and uncle's one night, and they have a 500-600 acre fruit ranch. They grow apple, like 3 or 4 kinds of apples and peaches and pears, and oh my God, the cherries that they had just picked like an hour before. His aunt, we walked in the door. It was the nicest greeting I've ever had at a stranger's house. We come in, they said, guys, come on in, put your bikes in the garage. Come on in. They handed us a beer, and then she put down a big bowl of cherries and like peaches and pears. And oh my God, they were so good. And
I could just see the husband say, go sit down, have my wife's cherry.
It would take you, Carlos, to come up with that one.
Yeah, you know, Justin, do you agree with Dre, though, that enforcement enforcement should be at the time of purchase?
I think it might help, and it might keep people that aren't really interested in the hobby
Absolutely.
in a professional way, and they just want to dick around with the drone and do stupid shit with it.
I said that yesterday to Mafia Man.
I think it would keep them from even wanting to buy one at that point. They might just be like, oh, screw it. I don't want to do all that, even though it's not really that hard.
Or it will say, oh, really? I didn't know I have to do that, and cause them to go back and take the trust test and educate themselves.
Go ahead.
I was going to say, when I bought my first drone, the first month and a half, I didn't know shit. If I wouldn't have ran across Jim and Adrian's channel, I probably would have never known the rules. That's what made me start looking up everything, is watching your guys' lives and all that.
See, look at this. An FPV system should not be used if the weight exceeds 55 pounds. But they do not tell you about the 249 grams or 250 grams. They don't list it anywhere in here.
Unless they're just getting rid of that rule and they're adding it all the way down to...
Right? Are we being sneaky here?
Tiny hawk size drone? Like maybe, I don't know.
Let's see the end of the document. This is the end. Airspace. Oh my God. You have to use Lank. You guys are going to have to use Lank if you're in. But at what height?
It's like they take the fun out of flying.
Oh, they're killing it.
I would love to be like some of the other countries where the minis and below that don't have to really do anything. You know what I'm saying? Like they don't have to really follow the same rules and everything because of the size of them.
You know, I think this is, Jim and Carlos, I kind of disagree with you on that, where it's taking the fun out. You sit and listen to like the FAA or whatever. You know, literally the first 2 weeks after Christmas, there are more drone crashes because the average Joe gets a damn. You don't believe how many people I hear that get drones. They just automatically go out and start flying. They don't even read the damn manual. You know,
Right.
They don't know the rules. They don't know nothing.
That's what I'm saying.
Stuff like this is going to help people show a little responsibility.
They don't know that even stuff like this exists.
That's
my
the problem.
point.
That's the problem.
This is why I'm saying before you buy it, you should be told by B&H, Best Buy. And I think Charlie says on Amazon, it says when you buy a drone, it must be registered. No, this product must be registered with the FAA. Some will actually say, something like that before you buy it. I'm not saying that these rules are bad. What I'm saying is the rules are useless if they don't know you need them.
We've always complained that,
or that they even exist.
I mean, how hard is it for somebody that really wants to fly a drone to spend $5 on a registration and 5 minutes taking that test?
I don't think they don't.
but they don't know about it.
Right. I was going to say it's not that they don't want to; they just don't know.
When they go to buy it, they should inform them right there. If you don't have a copy of both of those, then we can't sell it to you. Sorry.
Okay,
and then the other thing is you have to assume that somebody has internet.
The store's going to lose money. They're not going to do that. They're going to say that you should be doing that.
No, the FAA should do that. It shouldn't be the store.
Right.
They're putting the cart before the horse. If they really cared, like I said, it's the same thing with speeding. I said last time, if your state really cared, they just put cameras. You wouldn't need highway patrol. You'd have cameras. They would be taking pictures all day.
Personally, I think that trust test is a joke.
I
mean, when you sit and think about it, any one of us, it took me, 6 minutes, 7 minutes to take it. Is there enough knowledge in that test to qualify me to go out with a brand new drone and who I've never flown before? Does that really qualify me to know all the rules and regulations? Hell no.
No.
If they don't make the test unpassable, they need to make it to where you would literally have to get the questions correct. If not, it should make you wait like a week or something before you can retake it. So that way, if you're like just trying to rush through it and you don't know shit, you're going to be like, well, fuck, now I got to go back and watch a YouTube video or something and actually sit and listen and learn it, because some people are just going to go through it. I think it should be, I don't think they should just let you pass it. Just
it's easier to fly an ultralight. Yeah. But yeah, there's just not enough information in there to really educate a person. But I've talking to so many people, like especially right after Christmas. People get a drone and boy, they go out and oh yeah, my drone flew away. Well, I can probably tell you why. They didn't know enough to wait to get GPS signal, and there's just all sorts of things.
I was talking to my dad like a couple weeks ago about telling him about my drones and showing him and how I fly them and stuff. And he was like, yeah, I went to Harbor Freight and bought a little cheapy $100 one. I lost it within like the first hour after I put it up. Just fucking flew off into the desert somewhere.
All the junk ones I bought, I mean, it almost ruined me and stopped me from ever doing this again. Because I told you guys the story. It had this little trim tab on it. And it's, it was a $50 or whatever Walmart thing. And before I could even hit the trim tab, I couldn't even find where the hell it went in the house.
Well, and this is the thing. This is why I tell people, if you're going to start flying, you should definitely go with a mini one and no less than that in quality. Because at least with DJI drones, they hold their value for what you paid for them. So if you really decide you're not into it, you can always get a majority of your money back. You're not going to get it all entirely, but you go out and buy a cheap $100 drone and you wreck it into something, decide you don't want it. Ain't nobody going to buy that from you.
Hello.
What's up, Adrian?
What's up, Adrian?
So, Jim, but what is the topic tonight, sir?
It is this new regulation.
New regulation.
Advisory Circular 91-57C for recreational flyers. That'll have to, this document is more or less controlling what community-based organizations have to put inside their rules of flight in order to be saying you flew with them or flew under them.
We just lost Adrian already.
His internet.
But what would give the Boy Scouts incentive to want to do all that though? Like, would they get money from the government, more tax breaks or something for doing shit like that?
They have to find the same land we have to find. Where does, like Mitch says, there's an FAA flying site out at the local dump. I didn't know about that. Where's that advertised? It's the same with these rules. They don't put out public service announcements that say there are rules to flying drones.
But that defeats the purpose of having a drone if you have to fly it only in a certain place, no?
Oh yeah, I mean, we all agree on that.
What's the point? The point is you take it on vacation, you see something nice, you're going to worry about this? And I could see all the other rules, but the CBO or whatever you're talking about, that kind of sounds silly.
Well, this is right. I fly drones almost every day and never taken a test. My drones still work. What will it come down to? I mean, are they going to get to the point where they put that remote ID thing on it and it can shut your drone down?
Well, whatever it is, you're good with it as long as it's FAA, right? Within reason.
Well, it's like, why does DJI drones let you go as high as you really wanted to, but the limit's 400 feet by law?
And miles away, right?
You think that portion of it would only be unlocked if you had a 107 certification in the DJI?
Actually, that's interesting what you said.
Then
Jim,
it could unlock you to go higher than 400 for when you're doing certain jobs, but
you said that somehow the DJI or an app can take control over, like if you're trying to go a certain height.
Yeah. The DJI Go 4 app will actually go out, I don't want to say down your aircraft, but as you're flying into, let's say,
geofence,
a geofence of a TFR or something like that, instead of going straight down and landing, as you get closer in, your drone will go down and down, down.
It's kind of like that one guy. Yeah, I remember Jim, you kind of referring to that guy who crashed it in the water. And
yes.
Yep.
Yes.
That's interesting.
Didn't check. He was in a TFR, and it did exactly that. It kept going lower and lower to the ground.
I think he knew that TFR was coming. He just didn't get out of it in time. You know, like it said 3 o'clock. There was going to be.
Why don't they just program the drone to just go back where it came from automatically if it hits one of those?
I was going to ask.
What's the point of it making it go down? That's
you lose control as it's going down. You
You
no longer
can't-
have control anymore. You can't bring it back.
I've never had it happen to me.
Gotcha.
So,
Couldn't that
I mean,
pose a
why
danger?
couldn't you just, if it's going down, why couldn't you just back up and get out of that airspace?
That's what I was. I mean, because that potentially can cause a danger wherever it lands.
Right? Yeah. Well, look
That's
at your
what I'm
battery
saying.
at 11%. If your battery hits 11% in DJI's world, the drone is coming down. Doesn't give a damn where it is. It's coming down.
But
Well,
you've
if
already
anything-
been warned to come back already.
Yes.
Before. Okay.
But if
Yes.
anything, I think it should just do an automatic return to home.
That's what I think also.
And where
Makes
you can't
sense.
override it, it just makes your drone go back to where it was at.
Hey, Jim, do me a favor. Can you go back to the part that we're talking about the recreational flyer and having a person like an assistant help him? Can you put in a little bit?
The
It's talking about the
visual observer.
Yeah.
visual observer.
Where was that at? You just passed it. You just had it.
Oh, okay.
I was just reading, but then you moved it.
Yeah.
Yeah, the one that says 22 2.2.3.2. So is that pretty much saying, if I understand it correctly, that the
Got to be standing there beside you.
observer is going to be standing next to me, close enough? But what do you mean that they cannot use?
Walkie-talkies. So in other words, a guy can't be 200 feet from you and use a walkie-talkie and say, "Hey, Adrian, you're going to hit a tree." You know what I mean?
Always has to stand next to you.
Yeah. Co-located. Got to be standing right next to you.
So if anybody was to fly a drone 3,000 miles from where you at with an observer, he cannot be over there with a walkie-talkie talking to you. He got to be close to you.
But he's got to be standing next to you. Yeah.
Yep.
Is this something that just came out?
This is,
No,
yes.
that's been out
This
for
is
a
a,
while.
well,
I thought
see,
this
we
has
had
been
that
out for a
argument
while.
during that trust test.
I mean, honestly, it sounds like they're trying to. I think the observers more to watch the pilot than the actual drone,
Yeah.
to make sure nobody's messing with them, make sure that they don't walk into something.
That's right.
Honestly, I think that's the biggest thing with that rule, is probably pertains to the pilot, not so much the aircraft.
Chris says the visual observer can be as high as a kite.
Or Stevie Wonder, right? For all you know.
I think, but we're all here because we all like to fly. Yeah, we do like to fly, but
There were a
sounds
lot
like-
of people that were
What does that have to
misunderstood
do?
by that for a while. That guy that Mel had on a few weeks ago from that drone,
Pilot Institute.
Pilot Institute, he cleared that up and made sure everybody was aware of it.
Most people panic, and they do panic. You know, all you have to do is press down that return to home button on the DJI controller one time. Give it a couple of seconds. The drone will start the controller will start beeping, and it will return home to you.
Well,
We
I
all-
remember a while back, I was flying my DJI Mavic 2 Zoom for about the Pro, and I was just flying it, and then my freaking iPad got, extremely hot. It got hot to the point that it just locked. You know what I mean? You
Yep.
probably know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, I do.
And so, I could have easily hit the return to home on the remote, but I panicked because I couldn't see the damn screen. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
I ran to my truck to cool it off. By the time I cooled it off, when it came back, my drone started already landing on the landing pad. I thought I lost the goddamn thing.
Well, this is the thing, though. Let's not forget, you also have the settings in the menu that if it loses connection, you want to set your height, and either
Correct.
for it to
That's-
land or
that's-
return to home.
That was already
So it's
said.
a-
Just but the point that I'm trying to make is that sometimes you will panic, and sometimes you don't freaking think about it. Like in that moment,
Right.
I thought, oh shit, I lost it. You know what I mean? I didn't think
That's
about
what I'm
none of
saying.
that. I just blank.
You want to make sure you have all that shit set before you go out, that because it
Again,
is a double redundancy.
Everything is already set. Again, the point I'm trying to make is that I panic. You know what I mean? And for a second, I just didn't remember nothing. I'm like, oh shit, I lost the drone. But all of that has already been said already.
Yeah, but here's the thing, Adrian. It's telling you that you'll need to get permission to fly in class. You're not going 400 feet high,
So you don't need any permission.
but they're saying you do.
See, that's what it's just crazy.
Look, the operator obtains prior authorization, whether it be LANC or something else, right? Prior to flying in Class B, C, or D airspace, or E within the runways. But you're not going. How high do you go with your FPV when you fly?
100, 150, 200 tops, if that much. Not thinking, and then not even that far. Everything is close. You know what? The rule I sorry to cut you off. The rule I fly, me personally, is I fly as far as I'm willing to walk if I crash it.
Right. And look at it. It's telling you right there. FAA recreational flyers should use LANC. Wow.
is that every time, Jim?
In controlled airspace.
Yeah,
Airspace, okay.
yeah, but you're only going 100 feet high.
That's silly. It's just silly, and most people will not do it. I'm telling you, they have an AMA field right in between LaGuardia and JFK Airport, less than 5 air miles away, and
Well,
people
that's why-
fly there like crazy.
That's what I think's so funny though, is the AMA like advertises that they're drone friendly, but like I said before, I wouldn't want to go fly at an AMA field.
Well, are you going to sit there and fly around in a circle?
Well, it's not even that; it's just the mood that a lot of those guys portray when you come to a field
Yeah.
like that. They
It
don't want
depends
you
where
there.
you go.
Jim, I agree with you, but again, not to fall back again on this trip, but this shows an example of that. You know, I was out on the coast the one day. I was only 50 feet in the air flying, and all of a sudden, here come the U.S. Coast Guard and a big Dolphin hauling ass down the coast, and they were hugging the coast close. And like I said, I was only 50 feet in the air, and I'm like, I need to get out of here. And I hurry up and drop right back down. And I know they weren't 100 feet above our head when they flew over us.
You didn't get any warning on your.
No, because I don't have the whatchamacallit in mind.
It wasn't
Well,
coincidence. It wasn't coincidence.
Yeah,
The Mavic 2 Pro has that ADS-B.
ADS-B. Mine don't. The
Well,
Mavic,
Ron,
the new Mavic Airs do, but the Mavic 2 Pros do not.
Mine
Ron,
does.
Ron
Does?
flies a helicopter. Don't get me right, and correct me if I'm wrong, but most helicopters don't have that system in it, do they?
Yeah, they do.
Oh, okay, because somebody was saying before something about
Yeah,
not all of them have it.
One of the like the GNS 1000 is one of the real good top navigation systems. We have it both in our helicopter and on our planes. And yeah, I don't
So,
pick up drones.
Jim, changing this topic on another way. Where can you fly legal? Forget about where can't you fly. Where can you fly according to the FAA?
See, before you answer that, Jim, I got a question for you. You said that the ADS-B is on the DJI Mavic 2 Pro. I'm assuming it should also be in the Zoom. Mine doesn't have it. My Mavic Air 1, not Mavic Air 2 has it, but not my Mavic 2 Pro or the Zoom. How can I do that?
I get those annoying warnings.
I don't get warnings about no airplane being close to
I don't
me.
either.
I get it on Mavic Air 2.
No, Dre says it doesn't have it either.
Yeah, I didn't think it did.
Maybe I'm talking about the Matrice then, because that thing keeps popping up on the screen every time a United Airlines goes by. I don't need to know this, especially since the FAA outlawed the use of ADS-B.
Yeah, the Air 2 and the Air 2S, I think, are the only two that have it.
Yeah. And the DJI-FPV have it too. But
No, it
not
has
the
it?
Pro.
Now, how stupid is that? Why
didn't they give that to the Mini 2 then? That's what I don't understand. Is they give? You thought that you would think the Mini 2 would have had that?
Yeah, my Mavic Air 2 has it, and the FPV have it, but not the Mavic 2 Pro.
It's an extra $30, Justin.
You got to remember, most of the airspace is Class G unless you're around an airport.
Yeah.
So
G for good to fly? What is G?
yeah,
Yep.
G is good to fly.
All right, so then we could fly it just about anywhere. 400 below 400 feet. As long as it's not a national park.
Yeah, but well, see, FPVs don't ever get any warning when they're entering airspace of, let's say, Orlando or Kennedy Airport or anything like that, or LAX. You guys get no warnings at all. So how would you even know if you're entering?
We have to know even more where we're flying.
Right. And who told you that? Did you see that on TV or something? How do you know this?
You mean Joe Schmo FPV?
Yeah.
Like I said, you probably won't fly more than a football field away. 2 football fields at the most. And as far as height, maybe even the same thing, 200, 300 feet, if that much. They usually don't, though. You ever notice you have a big open field, people that fly FPV and they always fly near the trees instead of the open field.
Maybe they just need to really super refine the geofencing system that they have.
I don't update that because they go crazy with that damn thing.
Yeah, I know, Jim. That's what I did yesterday when I uploaded my photos. Before I did it, it actually told me that I needed to put my geofence, and I did it. And but I do notice that they do a whole bunch of update when it comes to geofence, and just on every jump that I have. They do a lot of that damn shit everywhere I go.
Hey, can I want to tell you guys something first. Remember to clear your cache on these DJI drones, because the reason, I don't know, I got mine to work again, but I had never ever cleared the cache of the Mavic 2 Pro. And when I cleared the cache, I don't ever use the 8 gigabyte internal storage, but I cleared that, and then I put another SD card in. I took the SD card out that was in it. Ron, I showed you which one I had in it at 128. Put a different one in, and it miraculously started flying again.
That's weird.
And it didn't update. It didn't update the firmware.
I've noticed that with the Air 2, though, when you are flying with my iPad or my iPhone, if there's a bunch of cache and that 8 gigs of memory on there, my pictures will actually start freezing. My video will start freezing on my phone or my iPad. But as long as I keep that clear and I don't use it, it works fine.
Yeah, but I've never gotten a warning to clear the cache. Hey, Matt.
There's your brother, Adrian, Captain
up,
Cinematic.
And I think that was my problem, Justin.
Da Vinci. Is his volume working? I don't think so.
Hey, Mr. Sim.
Yeah,
Oh, there it is. Okay.
I wasn't talking. Hey, fellas, how are you, Adrian?
What's going on? Your wine cup?
Here, Jim.
It's always going to be name calling.
He loves me, doesn't he? Yeah. I've been listening to them boys. Geez, I tell you what, it's getting pretty intense with all that shit, isn't it?
Yeah.
Only if you let it.
They're creeping in there with medical. Did you see the medical rules and all this crap?
Yeah.
It is getting insane. And that's all for recreational pilots. Holy cow.
Don't most pharmaceuticals say don't operate heavy machinery, this, that, and the other thing until you know how it affects you? A lot of these drugs do that, right?
Yes.
So heavy machinery is anything over 250 grams. So you can fly a Mini. Don't worry about that.
Yeah.
It doesn't list it, Matt. It does not list. It only lists 55 pounds in here. That's what amazes me.
I don't think it's worth the effort of worrying about it.
Jim, there may be two things that may not be pertaining to anything 250 or over, or between 250 and 55 pounds, or maybe they're getting rid of that and they're just going to throw the minis in there with everything else.
And here's the other ridiculous thing. What about maintenance? Is Matt supposed to report his drone to the AMA because the two screws came out and the arm broke on a 75 millimeter drone?
Even if he's supposed to, 90% of people ain't going to do it anyway. So, I mean, half of these rules are not going to get followed because there's no way to enforce half these rules.
Because people don't even know to do half this stuff.
Even if they do, I mean, are you really going to go and report something for a screw coming out of a prop? And didn't cause
well, if you don't, I'm
going
to, taking notes.
To be quite honest, I think it's just it's a numbers game. It's another way of them finding out how many people are flying, within that.
Collecting information.
Hey, I want to answer Dre's question here. Dre, I've got mine down at 2 gigabytes, and I've never increased it. But for some damn reason, when I cleared that cache and put in a different SD card, it worked again. Now, the insane thing was it said update all modules. And me and Charlie, Drone Psyche there, spent hours on Messenger, plugging it in, going to a DJI Assistant 2.
Hey, Jim,
Yeah.
gotta pop out, buddy, and head to work. A great discussion tonight, man.
Are you emotionally fit first?
Yeah, man.
Probably not after talking to you guys.
Are you tired or anything like that?
I'm tired. Emotionally stressed.
You're tired of us.
Yeah, I'd be. That's
All
not
right,
hard to
guys.
do, is it, Ron?
Hey,
See you,
next
buddy.
time I want to see your videos, man. When are you getting that group of videos together?
When I get home, hopefully tomorrow, I'll start working on that. Yeah. So,
Well, have a good night, Ron.
good discussion tonight. I liked it.
Hey, Ron.
Adios, Ron.
See you guys. Have a good
See
night.
you,
Talk
Ron.
soon.
Night, buddy.
You too, mate.
Adios, amigos.
Hey, I called you back too, Ron. You know,
Yeah, I
I
know.
missed you. All right, all right.
We got super busy yesterday. We took off at 3:30. Didn't get back till 9:30 this morning. So, yeah, it was a crazy day. It's my last shift though. Then I get to go home. But,
All right.
we'll talk soon. Take care, guys.
Good night.
See you, buddy. I'll tell you something. If you're going through all that bizzo there, they did a similar thing here in Australia, where they introduced something called the excluded class, which was enticing people who weren't flying anything over 2 kilograms to register their drones and go through a similar sort of bizzo. So you could actually make money without costing you any money. You can actually make money off your drone under 2 kilos. So it was enticing people to go in there and go through all this process again and again, getting more numbers to see who's doing stuff. So people who would normally be flying recreationally can now make money out of their drones with no monetary outlay. And you can make your money out of your Mini or your Mavics or your Phantoms or anything like that, you know. So
Well,
that was their
here-
incentive here.
Yeah.
I was just saying that was their incentive here to get more people to register.
Oh. Because this one here is saying that you have to put a prohibition on modifying the UAS and the carriage of any hazardous materials or weapons. We know about that. But those first 3 words, prohibition on modifying. Now, what would that mean?
Yeah.
You can't put that fishing lure, that stupid, dumb fishing line thing on there? On your FPV
Well, I mean,
drone?
You can't
when
put a
it comes-
certain camera on it, or you can't put a certain RPM motor on it.
Well, I mean, that'd come into strobe lights and all sorts of shit if that was the case, wouldn't it?
Well, it's open to interpretation. It could be anything.
How are you
It's-
supposed to
well,
put
it's
lights on
modifying,
it
isn't
that are visible 5 miles away if you can't modify it by putting anything on the outside of it?
Hey, Michael.
There you go.
Probably.
Absolutely right.
Or
Unless
even
there's
those little what are they called? TPU landing feet on your
Yeah.
on a quad.
Yeah,
Anything.
it's all modifying, you know.
Now,
It's all modifying, and then once you do that with the Mini, you're probably going to go. The Mini is under. I think it's like 237 or 238. The Mini though, it's well under
The
250.
Mini 2, yeah. The Mini 1 is
Yeah,
248.
I noticed
they're
all
not
the wording.
listening anyway. Yeah, go
All
ahead.
the wording is very vague.
Yes.
And I think they do that on purpose so that when shit happens, they can say, "Well, we said," and this falls under.
Well,
So
you know,
Yeah.
What is reckless or careless behavior on a UA FPV?
Flying too
Within
close to
a-
people, flying over traffic.
Well,
Yeah,
now
that's
that's
sort of
already stated
self-explanatory.
rules. Those are already
Right.
stated rules.
But that would show recklessness or carelessness. So if they catch you doing it, then they're going to get you for it.
So it's a double then.
Yes, that's another thing. Once you've signed off on something, their box is ticked, right? So now you're legally responsible. You can't go under the
Right.
under the inhibition of saying, "Well, I didn't know,"
Well,
because you've
they
done
already
it. And
they have
now,
that
now
covered.
it's your fault.
That's
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
You did your trust test. You're qualified now. You're responsible for your damn self.
I don't know if they have it in
Yeah.
Australia, Matt, but there is something that says ignorance is no excuse for the law. Whether
Right.
you
Yeah.
didn't know it or not.
Yeah, it comes with cars and everything like that. But a lot of, it goes along with all the companies and all that sort of shit, even with truck driving and all that sort of thing. They'll pull you into the office and say, we're going to have a toolbox talk. Okay, so this is what's happening. Do you understand that? Yeah, I do. No worries. Their butt's covered. Now you're in the shit. It's a total putting the blame on the individual and taking any responsibility away from any industries or anything
From
like that. That's where
DJI.
this was. Well,
I should know from the person selling the DJI product. It's like selling a gun. You have to register it, or you have to have some kind of permit before you can get it, before you can buy it and take it home.
Right. You got to
Because it's dangerous, and that's the same thing with these drones. Potentially, you're flying, a four-bladed blender in the air that can hurt someone.
Right.
Yeah.
But they're asking you to do all this FAA compliance after you buy it because it's in the interest of the manufacturer and the big business. It's not in the interest of the individual, on the ground that's going to get hit by the drone because somebody flew it, ignorantly.
Look, if it was all about safety, then you need to do that before you even purchase one.
Exactly my point.
Right.
Yeah.
So that's why. Go ahead, Matt.
Sorry, mate. I don't know if it's cutting in and out. Well, anyway. But
No,
yeah,
you're good.
it's
You're good.
righto. If it was, as I said, if it was about safety, then you'd have to do it beforehand, just like a gun license or anything like that. I have no problem with that because there's a lot of people who do buy drones.
No, I think it would be more effective that way. That's why I think the trust test is kind of a joke because number one, they make it easy. Number two, who knows to take it?
That's the whole point, is you've got to know your drone, how to fly it, and that there are rules involved.
And
now,
people don't know.
Where's that public service announcement? I've never seen one.
It should be done at the store. That's where the service announcement should be done. Wherever you purchase it. Amazon does, at least on some of the drones, say it has to be registered. FAA registered.
Now, Jim. Hey, Jim. Mel made a comment that 400 feet from takeoff, from above ground level.
Yep.
But if there's a building,
don't matter.
So you can't. I thought you could go above that. So you can't do that anymore.
Only if you have a Part 107. A recreational pilot can only go 400 feet, period, end of story. If the building is 500 feet, you can't go to the top of the building. If you're on top of the building that's 500 feet, you cannot take off.
Holy shit.
Yeah.
Yep.
But that makes sense. Too. That makes sense, though, because you'll be above 400 feet.
Correct.
G. The word there, G, ground, not building. You know what I mean? Otherwise, it'll be ABL.
So, Jim, I'm going to go to Tennessee to go get my babies this weekend.
Oh,
I'm
wow.
I'm going to be out there in the mountains. So does that mean that I cannot fly the drone, period?
No, because the mountains, if you're standing on the mountain, it's part of the ground.
Oh, okay.
Mountains are totally different, mate. I don't know if you've. There's a couple of videos of mine where I'm flying nearly 500 meters away from where I actually took off. But I've kept my 400 ATL because the elevation of the ground went up, so I can follow that ground all the way to freaking 10 kilometers if I want it, because I'll still be 400 AGL. And mountains. And that's what a lot of people don't understand is you can do that. Oh, I'm above 120. Well, you're not. It's difficult to gauge that and judge it, but just watching the drone, you can actually you can sort of tell how high it is. And if you just start skimming the treetops all the way up, there's no way you're going to be over 400.
Use a little common sense too. A Cessna aircraft is going to fly 500 feet above that mountain too. They don't want to fly into the mountain.
Yeah, well, exactly right. Exactly.
Hey, Matt,
right.
Are there areas in Australia where you just have no plane traffic at all?
Look, I guess there is, out near the...
Or little to none, maybe, I should say, instead of none, just very little.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. You know, out near the dams and all that sort of thing, where I go flying, there's very little air traffic out there. Although you can get the occasional farmer out there with his home built bloody whatever.
Right.
So you got to listen out. Got to listen out for those little buggers flying around, because they tend not to. They tend to be flying below 400.
Yeah.
Well, here's the one
But,
I
you know-
like. FPV flyers should be proficient in flying their UA without an FPV device prior to starting FPV flights.
That
So
don't make
you
no-
Read that again. What?
that didn't make no sense to me. What?
FPV flyers should be proficient. You should be very good at flying your unmanned aircraft before you ever put on FPV goggles.
So they're saying you should be able to control it and fly it without the goggles.
Line of sight.
Yeah.
But it does say it states prior to starting FPV flight. So we have to assume you're talking about us putting on goggles.
Well, that's
But they're-
FPV is goggles.
Yeah, but
That's-
they're also bunching in
What other
GPS.
FPV is there other than without goggles?
But now they're calling it. You have to be proficient in flying it without the goggles before
Right, line
ever
of sight.
starting it. Yeah.
So they're telling you to fly it like a tello, and then as well as fly it with goggles. That's what they're saying. Now,
You know,
most people are not going to do that because it's hard to tell which way is forward and backwards on some of these things. Go ahead, Matt.
I was saying, not only that, it becomes extremely difficult to fly, because when I first got the Tiny Hawk, I thought, oh my God, I can't fly this putting the goggles on. I'll just fly it normally. Well, it's okay when it's going away from you, but once it starts coming back and you're coming back at a decent sort of speed, you're going to stuff your thumbs up. Oh, left and right, right and left. You haven't got time to think like you have with a DJI drone, where it's coming back nice and slow.
Exactly.
If it's coming towards you, and you can move it, and you've got time to think about it. But FPV, there's no way in hell you're going to have time to think about it unless you're absolutely fantastic. You know, which, well, I don't know, 90% of the flyers probably aren't. But as soon as you put those goggles on, you've got that left and right straight away. You know, it's actually safer to fly with the goggles on than what it is without them, to be honest.
Hey Jim, that second part that you have highlighted,
Yeah.
I think that we all already do that. You know what I mean? We do a pre-flight check before we take it down. You know what I mean? Before we take off. The remote, make sure it's fully charged, it's working, the propellers are on correctly. You know what I mean? Batteries charged. There's no crack. You know, the propellers are all right.
But do you always have someone standing there watching you at all times? No, called FPV operations require someone. Well, yeah,
Pretty much, yeah. It's saying if you're FPV, no matter when you fly, you have to have that person with you.
Yes.
Bring a mannequin, Adrian.
They've got to be co-located.
Oh, God damn it.
Right next to you.
Big bastard.
When you don't have somebody to come, bring a mannequin. An electric one, and you know how Mitch has that monkey that goes left and right? Get something that goes like this.
Oh, look at this. Visual aids such as binoculars may be used only momentarily to enhance the situational awareness.
Yes.
That's
I've
called
never
to
seen
see
that
what the
before.
hell you're going.
I read that part while I was taking a test for my Part 107 Jim. That is true. That's actually going to be part of the question when it comes to the FAA question on the test. They did say that.
Binoculars may be used only momentarily. It used to say that you could not use unaided.
Yes.
It said unaided previously.
On my test, it said that the observer can actually do it temporarily, but they can't just be fixed on it like the whole time. Only use it for a little bit, and then they have to come, right back and be able to see it. You know what I mean? Exactly where it is without the binoculars.
Okay, realistically, Jim, how far can a drone be? Feet, meters, before it's out of line of sight. Average person.
From even the matrice, as big as it is, Let's come on, man. 1,500 feet. You can't see it.
That's why I
You
said
can't
a
see it.
mini after 500-600 feet on a mini, it's hard to see.
Right.
I mean, when you go 400 feet in the air with a mini, it's tiny up there. You can barely see it.
It's like a mosquito.
Yeah.
I mean, I could see my Mini 1 up there, no problem. You know what I mean? I can't see the whole thing big, but I could still see it.
Yeah, but we're talking about like how
know-
far out would you take it before you think you would lose sight of it?
500 feet, 600
I'm
feet,
thinking about
1,000 feet.
500 to 1,000 feet, and you're not going to really be able to see it much after that.
Right.
Well, you can't even go that far, right, Carlos? Don't you lose signal before you lose
No,
sight?
it depends on which drone, but yes. Oh, no, not sight. Before you lose connection. You always have sight, remember, because you have the goggles on.
Oh, right.
Could you imagine? Could you imagine though, being a spotter? Now you're talking FPV drones. That thing's ripping around, and you're watching it, and you know yourself. Even with a DJI drone, you take your eyes off it, you'll go on some to find it again. Now, can you imagine chucking on a set of binoculars to try and find that FPV drone instead of looking at it like this, right? Now you've got a set of binoculars like this, trying to find a dot in the sky.
Right.
My God. That'd be so bloody hard.
You know what it's like when you zoom a phone camera and then try to get something that's moving real quick? It's ridiculous. It's not going to happen.
No, I can't even.
So,
go ahead, Matt.
So to be honest, if that statement there is you can't use it all the time, it would actually be easier to use them all the time to watch the drone because you're constantly on it. Although it's still very difficult to follow something that small and that fast with a set of binoculars, man. Oh my God.
I think the binoculars would come into play better if you were spotting for a GPS drone.
Let me put it this way. Have you ever, with a Mavic 2, with a Phantom, whatever, have you ever tried to follow an FPV drone? It's murder. It's murder. You can't follow an FPV drone.
You can't. It's impossible.
No. It's
Very difficult.
Too agile.
Yeah.
The
I can
agility
imagine
is
and
trying to do it
especially-
with binoculars.
Especially if there's animals and birds around, all of a sudden what you thought was the drone is actually the bird.
Yeah.
When I was at the Florida meetup, I was supposed to be following drone worship, and I was. Then all of a sudden, I'm following a bird and not him. It's crazy.
I'll tell you what I did one night. I was doing a sunset out somewhere. Anyway, so as it got below the horizon, obviously the sky's fairly dark, and I popped on the bottom light of the Mavic 2, right? So I could see it. Right, I thought, where's my drone? Because you can't see those little LEDs. I'm at 600 meters away, something like that. But I lost sight of my drone, and I was like, oh God, where it's? So I put on the light. Now, what I was looking at, what I thought was the light, I'm moving my drone. I'm thinking, why isn't that fucking light moving? I'm moving it around. What's going on? I'm looking at the first star of the night, right? So it's a little bright one. I'm thinking my drone's not working.
He's following the North Star.
Yeah, I was nowhere near where my drone was. I had to use the old little arrow back to home. Thank you very much.
I love that arrow. I love that little radar on that bottom right, bottom left.
Man, I would have been lost without it that night.
Or return to home. No, then it'll come back. Or are you afraid of the going up?
As long as you went high enough to not hit any trees on the way home or something like that.
Yeah. Oh, look, I was plenty high enough, and depending on where I am, but normally I've got it set right 90, 100 meters or something like that. And to be quite honest, I think I was flying over 100 meters at that point. So it was just going to turn around and come home. But I'd rather fly at home in any case, anywhere, than push return to home. Although I've done it, just to whatever. We all know that. I've talked about that before.
Well, your visual observer should have pre-planned communications with you to ensure that you didn't lose that drone. See, it says it right there.
That makes no sense. You pre-plan a crash?
Well, where's the maintenance manual? Where's the maintenance manual? It says right, maintenance of the UAS and its components should be conducted in accordance with the manufacturer's instructions.
That makes me
When
laugh.
are those instructions coming? I've been waiting for 6 years now.
Can you email them and ask?
Oh, I've asked DJI. Are you kidding? Because there are actually maintenance manuals, but the only people who have them are the enterprise dealers.
Ah.
They don't want you buying your own parts and putting them on their drone. Now
Yeah,
it could be said you
maintenance
could
and
be
fixing
screwed.
is two different things.
Well, yeah.
I mean, what is there to maintain? Tighten screws? I don't know. Clear vents?
How long
Check.
do the motors last? How long are they guaranteed for?
Do they say? Has anybody asked?
I have no idea.
Certain amount of hours?
I have read that every 200 hours a matrice should be overhauled. I have not read anything about a Phantom, a Mavic 2 Pro, any other. Has anybody else read anything that tells you, other than reading your battery manual, which says it's guaranteed for 200 cycles or 6 months?
When you say it needs to be overhauled, what does that mean, Jim?
I do not know.
What does
That
that
means
entail?
that means that your motors, everything are supposed to be probably replaced if it's an overhaul.
Wouldn't you think?
I mean, you would think, but it could also be something else, Justin. I mean, you just
But
never
also,
But what
you're not
else?
going to be buying a matrice unless you're doing like Jim's type work. I mean, if you're doing professional work, that's what you need.
Jim's professional?
Believe it or not.
Yeah, but somebody that just wanted damn drone to have it, they could also buy it, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes.
Well, yeah, but I'm saying the average flyer is not going to go out and spend that much money. How much does a matrice cost, John?
More than your car. Let me give you a for instance. The matrice is still on enhanced light bridge, not AccuSync 2. And yet, the reason you buy it is because it's electromechanically interference shielded. It's shielded from the power lines and all that, so it doesn't destroy its signal. Yet, it doesn't have as good a signal as a Mavic 2 Pro.
Yeah, because you told me, Jim, that you flew it like 1,000 feet and you already lost connection.
Yeah. I've had problems. You know that.
Well,
Yeah, but it's different
absolutely. I mean,
technology.
Jim's was shielded from his base unit, to be honest. Wasn't it?
And you could say, well, Jim, you're seeing this in air data. Why didn't you send it back within the first year? Because it was happening every other flight, not every flight. And I thought, well, maybe I'm just in a bad area or something like that.
Where it is.
Yeah. Because
Hey, guys, I've got to nick off.
You got a delivery to make?
I got a sachet over to my couch.
I've got to go.
Yeah, I got to jump off too, Jim.
He's going to prance. You're going to sachet.
Yeah, I'm going to trundle off to work. And
Okay, bye, go, shoo. See you later.
Damn, Adrian.
He's
he's
rude,
so rude.
but we're used to
You know
it.
what?
We got to give a little side story. You want me to play the violin? Hold on, let me just play the violin. Hold on. All right, I'm done.
Yeah,
Go.
why don't you just go off and go play with your nipples while I say goodbye to everybody?
Rude.
All systems should have adequate energy supplied to complete the
See you
planned
later,
flight
man. Love you,
safely.
buddy.
Adios, guys.
Night, Carlos. Thank you.
Take care. Yep. Thank you.
How do I know if my GPS compass and altimeter are accurate? How do I know that?
Isn't there a way to check that, Jim, on the settings or anything of that nature?
Well, yeah. More than anything, that Mavic 2 Pro tells me that I'm near magnetic interference. I swear to God, it makes me do a compass calibrate. Seems like every damn time I fly it, when I put it down on the road.
It's stupid because mine did that yesterday, Jim, and I've flown that damn thing on my balcony so many times that I've never had to do it. But yesterday, for some reason, it made me do that. And I was not near no kind of magnetic, nothing, or metal or nothing. It just a freaking deck made out of wood. But it told me that I had to do it before I took off. After I did the update of the geofence.
Oh, you did the update of the geofence?
Yeah, every
Wow.
time they run, I do them, and every single one of them I get them done. The only one I haven't done it yet is the Spark. It will not let me do it through the app. I have to connect it to my computer, my PC. That's the only one that I haven't done yet.
I've had nothing but problems trying to connect to the Assistant 2
Hey,
software.
Big
You got to find a beautiful cable, a beautiful USB-C cable to fit the bird to the Assistant 2. Hey,
Gotcha.
Dre.
How you doing, buddy?
I'm doing good, folks. How we doing?
Dre, you think this is going to come to us straight from the recreational flying to us?
As far as what?
As far as the medical conditions and all this other stuff that's on here?
Most of this stuff was already buried in the FAA regs years ago. It's just not coming to light. A lot of this was proposed back in 2018 when Congress told the FAA come up with some kind of reauthorization. So this is nothing really new. From my perspective, being a Part 107 pilot, all it does is make our industry more professional. Because even with regular pilots, guys who fly Cessnas and whatever else, they're licensed pilots. They have to abide by all the rules. They got to get a physical every year. So no matter if you're flying a Cessna or a Max 737, it's a profession. So requiring recreational pilots to take some kind of, and no matter how simple a test may be, it's a knowledge test, a basic knowledge test. So everything else that comes with that, far as medication, all that kind of stuff, it's the same thing. If you're out there a crop duster, you can't be under the influence of medication. You can't have alcohol within 8 hours prior to. So guess what? Our drones are called what? Aircraft. Yeah. They're classified as aircraft. So why not those who are operating the aircraft also have to abide by the same rules of a guy who's flying some barnyard put together Cessna that he got in a do-it-yourself kit and somewhere else.
For crop dusting. Yeah.
For crop dusting and whatever else. My thing is, all it does is make what we do more professional. So like I say, when somebody comes up and talks to us in the future, they would have to assume, instead of us being a wild card individual doing something legal, they would start to assume that this guy must be legit because he is out here flying a drone. And like when the word gets out, people start thinking that, yeah, I heard they got to take a test before they can do this. I heard they have to abide by that before they can do this. It gives us a more professional appearance to the general public. And that's what we all want. We don't want people coming up, as I say, the Karens and whoever else approaching us and saying, hey, you can't fly here. I said, well, no, they should come up to us and like anything else. They should want to ask questions. Like when you get on a plane, you know, you can't get up and sit in the cockpit with the pilot.
Right.
But every once in a while, they want you to go up there and ask a question. Hey, what does that do? What does that do? They let you in the door. So my thing is, this trust thing and all the other regulations that have been buried in the FAA regs for years is just making us come across as more professional than what we do. A lot of guys say, well, I just do it for fun. But guess what? There's two guys who crashed some Cessnas over last weekend who were flying for fun. One kid landed one kid landed on the highway, 18-year-old doing his solo training flight, landed the thing on the highway. Guess what? He's out there for fun, getting a pilot license, you know? So like I say, it's no different from flying a real plane than flying a drone. We're pilots. The aircraft, the drones are aircraft classified by the FAA. That's just a done deal. You know, that's what it is. And like you say, like Ron was saying earlier about, you know, Christmas time, we get all these different things and so forth. People buy them for kids, fly them for themselves, have fun, they go out there and crash it. Is because we allow people to go out and buy these things without having some basic knowledge.
Yeah, absolutely. I have agreed with that forever. Ever since I saw the guy in the park, I saw his phone fall off the transmitter of a Phantom 4.
Yeah.
Swear to God.
So I mean, I know a lot of guys in here are just recreational pilots, but I always want to ask them, when you go into different forums and come on YouTube live streams and you hear some of the questions, and I mean, a lot of times I have to hold my tongue, and I'm sure you do also, Jim, when you hear these questions from people about something that they just took the knowledge test, in the trust test, they would have a little more insight in how the drone operates. What is its capabilities? What is its limitations? I'm not asking the guy to know the difference between a cumulus cloud and a stratus cloud. But if he knows he's not supposed to be flying in restricted airspace, if he knows he's not supposed to be flying over 400 feet, most other stuff is common sense.
Right.
You know, so I mean, just give people the information that they should have, or we ask them, require them to have this knowledge. Anything else, when we go out and get driver's license, no matter what states you're in, or even most countries, you got to have a driver's license. You got to pass the test.
I don't even think it's stupid to have to know about the clouds because, you know, when you have storm clouds, you're going to have updrafts and you don't want to get close to, you know.
Yeah, well, like I say, common sense says the weather's bad, don't go out and fly. You know, but people are going to do what they do.
I think that the problem is that the FAA doesn't know how to get this across because since 2014, I cut the cord. I use apps to watch TV like Netflix and Hulu. Right. So I don't, you know, and nobody gets the newspaper anymore. I mean, how the hell is the FAA supposed to do these public service announcements? That's their problem. Number two is they haven't done them.
I think the only way to get people knowledgeable on it is they have to complete this stuff before they can buy the drone.
There you go. And that's why I said at the purchase point is where the requirements have. That's where your enforcement's going to be at. At the purchase
There's not
point.
Even a warning on the box. Okay,
I know.
You know.
I know.
A box of cigarettes tells you may get cancer, but the drone.
Yeah. Like I say, Jim, how long did it take for us to get that warning on the cigarette box? I mean, I'm at the age, I remember cigarette machines being in bowling alleys everywhere you went. Anybody going there, pop in 60 cents and buy a pack of cigarettes. That's how old I am. I remember when it was 60 cents a pack.
I would rather fight than switch. Remember the Tarleton commercials and Marlboro Man?
Yeah, all that kind of stuff. So it took time for different industries to finally realize their responsibility. And the FAA is notoriously never been public service announcement individuals or customer service individuals that much. So it's going to be a long time until, like I say, enforcement needs to be at the purchase point. That's the only way you get information out there. At least it'll make people think about what they're doing as far as purchasing this item. So, okay, I need to go on here and at least read the material, sit through a 10-minute course or whatever, and pass this little simple test that you can't fail. That's one thing here. The test is unfailable because it will correct your answers every time until you guess again.
It wants to teach you.
Right, it wants to teach you. That's what we're looking for. We're looking for education, outreach. That's what we call it. Outreach education. That's something. Simple.
And honestly, if somebody doesn't want to sit there and complete those two things to buy the drone, then they shouldn't be flying if they can't even take the time to do those two simple things.
That's from my perspective. I agree that 100% because, like I say, we're using something that we have to share the airspace with manned aircraft. Okay, that's first rule right there. We have to share it and we have to yield to those guys. So none of us want to be in a situation where we're interfering with some kind of emergency situation or even just simple patrol operations or something like that to where your aircraft is inhibiting first responders or something, or even whatever else is going on. That's the last thing you want to be involved in. And we've already seen it happen. In the last 2 years, we've seen it happen. So, like I say, the knowledge part has to come at the purchase to let somebody know if I'm buying $100 cheapo drone at Walmart, Target, or whatever, or I'm spending 10, 20,000 on an Inspire 2. I never flown a drone before, but I got deep pockets like that, like Jim. And I want to spend that kind of money, so be it. But at least
you know what?
Knowledge.
It goes right back to what you're saying. The reason for the Matrice was the safety because the Inspire 1 Pro would toilet bowl by a power line. Could not trust it near power lines. And so that was the reason for the Matrice. It was safety. Because I'm not paying for that power line to get. I don't have the money.
See, they should bundle it all together. You do your registration and take the trust test all together at one shot.
At least put a leaflet or a flyer in.
I think the trust test should be a little bit longer, though. I think it should be 2 or 3 times longer. I think it should be something you have to sit down for at least 20, 30 minutes and really listen to it as you're going through it.
Yeah, like I say, it's just like my wife's a teacher, and they have to do their CPR every other year. And now, I remember when CPR classes, the last one I took was a 4-hour deal. You had CPR and first aid. It was a far deal. Now the test is combined online, and you do it in about 10, 15 minutes. So it's basically about just information, knowledge. You know, if that's all we're in a society now of disposable gear. We don't get TVs fixed. We throw them away when they don't work right and everything else. Nobody has time to sit down for a 2-hour test unless something's on the line, like $150 for a Part 107. Then you'll sit down and you better have studied because you don't want to waste $150. But our society is quick. Let me have it now. I ain't got much more time, about 15, 20 minutes, because that's about as long as I last on YouTube, and then I'm on to something else on Instagram.
Well, that's the thing, though, is if somebody can't take the time or finds that to be too difficult to want to get those, then I don't think they should.
I still agree with you guys. It's how do we alert the general public to the fact that there are rules in the first damn place?
At point of purchase, like
at point of purchase. At point of purchase. Like I say, everybody's not buying drones. I mean, there's a large population out there, but for the most part, how many people on your block own drones?
Yeah, none.
Like I say, I'm the only one on my block. Jim, the only person on your block, because the rest of your neighbors hate you. You know, Adrian don't have no neighbors unless they're about 4 miles away and stuff.
You're damn right.
So I'm saying you got to look at it. We're usually the only person around that flies drones, probably in about a quarter to maybe half a mile radius around your property or your house. You're the only drone pilot. So the majority of the average Joe out there, they don't need to really reach out to them. You know,
and that's why the FAA really can't put it out there, because what are they going to do? Big old commercial ads and
and people are going to say, "What is this all about?" You know, that's why I say that the perception that if people know that, hey, I went to go buy a drone for my grandson or whatever case may be, and I had to go take this knowledge test. Well, he's going to tell that story to probably 2 or 3 people that he ran into that might bring up the word drones, or he saw something on TV like today. Everybody saw that Inspired 2 flying around that Jeff Bezos capsule when it came down. I don't know if you guys have seen it. Oh yeah, that Inspired 2 was sitting right there, catching it all coming in, you know, and that might just spark a conversation right there. And the guy said, "Yeah, that drone, man." But when I tried to buy one, they said I had to go take a test. So I put that idea on the back shelf. That's your information right there. There's going to be word of mouth more than anything else. Because when you go make that purchase, they ain't gonna want to take the time, like you said. They don't want to take the time.
And that will guarantee that everybody that purchases a drone, is going to get that information. That'd be the only way you could do it, honestly.
And like it's like always, it's like driving a car. People are still gonna do what they want to do. Okay, but everybody who drives, when you drive next to them, you have that confidence in your vehicle that you know the guy in the next lane had to take a test and he should know the basics of driving. Same thing with drone operators, you know.
You know, the odd thing is you can get your junior license to drive a car at age 15.
Yeah.
But drones is 16.
Yeah. Well, it's the aircraft aspect of it.
Yeah.
The so-called
because you can be a
sophistication.
Right. Well, you can be a pilot at 16 too, right?
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You could be a real pilot, aircraft pilot at 16?
Yeah. Yeah. You can fly solo at 16. If you're under that age, you have to have an adult with you.
Damn.
I think there was a girl who flew, from one end of the country to the other, but she had to have an adult with her. I think she's only 12 or 13 years old or something. And everything, but yeah, it's like I said, a lot of stuff I see you brought tonight, Jim, is good information. A lot of people, like I said, didn't take the time to read it. But as I try to tell my friend up there at the top of the screen, Adrian, study, and you'll come across this information because this stuff shows up on a test about medication, about alcohol, all that kind of stuff. It shows up on the Part 107 test. So
I think that's under crew resource management. There's 5 different parts, right?
Right. It's quite a bit. Just like you guys are talking about the visual observer. The way I interpret it when I took my test a couple of years back was that your visual observer had to be within, I would say, voice range, that you can't be down the road, with a walkie-talkie on a cell phone, giving out data, because well, what if you lose it? What if you lose signal? That means you don't really have a visual observer anymore. So a lot
I
of people
remember talking about that back in the day. I mean,
yeah, I always interpreted you had to be in close proximity of the actual person controlling the stick. A lot of times, 9 times out of 10, your visual observer is most likely your Part 107 pilot actually, and somebody else is actually controlling the drone in a lot of scenarios. So he's actually supervising over the crew by being the visual observer. So that's why it was always interpreted that the Part 107 person most likely should be the visual observer, so he can oversee what the actual person who's controlling the drone is doing at all times. So if he needs to step in, he can grab the controls and do what needs to be done.
All right, hey, Jim, I got to jump off here.
All right, time for bed for Mama.
Get Justin.
I'll see y'all later.
Thanks, buddy.
Mr. Andrew Silver Fox in the house. I haven't heard that name in a while.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What did he say? He can't sleep, I think he said.
Where's he at? England? It's middle of the night there.
I don't remember.
Hey Jim, I just literally seen a post by Curtis Dart saying that DJI Inspire 2 cut the landing of the Jeff Bezos ship coming down.
Cut the line?
No, I say cut the landing.
Yeah,
Video-
Yeah, that's what I was talking about. That people probably saw that big old Expire doing an orbit around the capsule as it was landing, and that's why I was saying that things like that will spark conversations with people. That oh, I want to go out and get a drone so I can do stuff like that. And they go up to the counter and they got.
No, that was reckless.
Who was flying that? Who was flying it?
That would be against
I'm pretty
right?
sure. I'm pretty sure that authorization, because knowing Jeff Bezos, they probably wanted this done. They probably got approval, and even though it looked pretty close on TV, because my first thing was, man, that drone could catch one of the parachute lines. But I'm pretty sure he was further back. It's just the depth perception of seeing it on TV. It looked closer than what it actually was.
Yeah.
But I'm assuming that would be illegal to do that, ain't it?
No, like I say, as long as you get FAA approval, that's all you need. Just like Bezos had to get FAA approval to get that rocket off the ground into space. Just like old boy last week had to get FAA approval to do that flight in the plane up in space.
I did see that he flew it up into space. I didn't see the drone part.
Yeah, the drone part was right before the capsule landed. You'll see this big old Inspire 2 coming around doing an orbit as the capsule was actually landing.
I'll have to look for it.
And like I said, like us, if you didn't know what an Inspire 2 looks like, you would think it was. You would probably thought it was probably people probably thought it was a big vulture or something.
Yeah. Hey, or look like a big old giant freaking spider, because
right, they probably thought it was a spider on the lens or something like that, Anything.
Well, and then I guess the next and last thing we have to fight over, because we still know nothing, is that unmanned traffic management.
Yeah, the UTM, that's just, I don't know. My thing is, like I said, it's a lot of moving pieces. I don't like the fact that it's one thing to have government controlling something, but I even have less confidence when only certain private companies are invited to the table. So
if I have to get out of the way of an Amazon drone flying a package, that's not right.
That's what I'm saying. When only certain companies are invited to the table, you can only expect that they're going to do things in their own best interest. So that's why I kind of don't like to see how that is trying to, formulate. Is the fact that I don't like the players who are only invited to the table. I wish it
that was that drone advisory committee, right? I think I showed the members of that.
Right.
You don't go to shots.
And like I said, they're all from companies who have a vested interest in airspace.
Yeah.
And I like to have people who have knowledge, but not when you are actually an employee of those companies.
Yeah.
To me, that's a conflict of interest in my book. It's just a conflict of interest.
Especially when you're vying for the airspace of the United States, everybody's
Right.
airspace.
Right. Yeah, and like I said, what we do here will eventually translate over to Europe, Australia, Canada, and everything else. Because like I said, they let them get away with it here. It's only just a matter of time to do it somewhere else. So,
You know, there is 100 feet difference between regular aircraft at 500 feet base and then us at 400 feet ceiling.
mhm.
So put them at 450. I don't care, you know, because they're going to be flying pre-planned routes anyway.
Yeah,
That's all going to be.
Well, see, that's going to be the big catch, because if they're flying pre-planned routes, what do you classify that airspace as? Is it a TFR? That even though I'm not flying at 450, but if I'm flying at 450 feet, ain't much to fool around with, you know? Or what happens if I'm flying around at 250 and this guy's coming in for a delivery? He's got to descend. He's not dropping a box off at 450 feet.
Right.
Or anything else. So he's going to be descending. So I'm saying, do they get TFRs when they're operating, or how's that all going to work? Because I'm sure that's what they'll want. Because I want that too. If I'm operating somewhere, I don't want nobody else in my airspace. Give me all the room I want.
That is going to be I don't know. Is it going to be a major problem with commercial flyers now? 107s I'm only talking about.
Well, I just, like I said before, they're going to work on things that's in their best interest for their companies. And that's why I said that, I have a problem with that because of that. That's just a natural mindset. Because like I said, if I'm sitting at the table, guess what? I'm going to do the things that are going to be in the best interest of my people. Okay. Which is all the rest of us 107 pilots. Because I'm going to cry foul, say, hey, no. Hold on a minute. What about us little guys over here? What are you going to do for us? So that's just human nature. So that's what I'm saying. That
none of us are on that committee. I mean, I remember it starting off with Amazon Airlines, then it went to Boeing,
right,
and the rest of the companies. It was all big money companies,
right. And Brent is saying you shouldn't put lobbyists on the committee. But I say, and that's what you got here. You got a bunch of lobbyists who actually work for these companies, who's going to be making these decisions. What's
big
up,
money. These drones, the way they are today, they got like a 5-pound limit. I can't see it beneficial to have some huge drone flying a McDonald's burger. What the hell are they going to be flying to your, or something from Walmart, some product from Walmart? Because I know Walmart jumped in the game.
Yeah, I think was it Walmart and Drone Up got a marriage going right now. I think they just started operations out here in Ontario, California. I read an article somewhere where they're supposed to be doing some operations in the Ontario, California area, which is, you got Ontario Airport right there, so it's all pretty much controlled airspace. Class, I think it's Class C over by Ontario. I could be wrong. It's Class C or Class D over there by the airport. And the city of Ontario sits, right smack dead in the middle of it. So, like I said, it's going to be an interesting situation of how that all unfolds. But get back to the question. I know Mel, I don't know if he's still here or not, talked about, I know some guys are talking about AGL. And I always tell people, this is why you got to be smart when you fly. You're going to fly somewhere, find the highest point to take off from. Because your AGL starts from your takeoff point. And you go 400 from there, okay? Don't get your AGL confused with MSL. MSL is sea level.
Sea level, yep.
Right. So like I say, your AGL is where you take off from. So you got 400 feet from the point you take off from, not from sea level. Your takeoff point. So if you're somewhere, you can go up on a hillside or whatever, walk up that hillside and take off from there, and you'll get an extra 50 to maybe 100 feet of flight space and so forth. But also it's good for your connection because you're at a higher level and you may fly lower, good connection. Just like radio signals and stuff. If you're at the top of the mountain and everybody's in the valley, you're gonna get a longer signal. People think about even the curvature of the earth. As Jim, as a sniper, you have to take in the curvature of the earth into factoring your shot. And the same way with signals. I can fly from northwest of my house and fly further in a southeastern direction than I can from the opposite way. I can fly from, actually, if I wanted to, I could fly 3 miles from a point north to my house all the way back to my house and land in my backyard. But if I try to do it from my backyard to the other point, I can only go maybe about a quarter of a mile tops.
See, this one here tells you the ground level. Ground level begins at the earth and does not include buildings. And then the other one is they're telling you need to have that trust test, little tiny wallet size certificate in your pocket, because the operator, 227 there at the bottom.
Mm-hmm. But I'm talking about 226 of those. See how I say ground level? I didn't say go climb a building. I said go up a hill. What's the hill? It's ground level.
Now, Jim, when it comes to that trust thing, can you have it on your phone? Like I have my insurance card or my ID on my phone. Can you have it that way, or does it have to be a physical piece of paper?
I'm sure you can. I have the stupid pieces of paper. And the reason I say stupid is because I've got the plastic 101, 107 card. Okay.
Yeah.
And then every 2 years when I renew it, all I have is a piece of paper. And so I kind of wrap it around the 107 card and stick it in the wallet. It's ridiculous. Dre, you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah. Well, I keep a copy of all my registration of my drones. I have cases for everything. So I throw a copy of the registration in the case. In case somebody asks me, hey, your drone registered? Yeah, registration's right there in the case, like my card. I keep it there in the car. And the same thing, my license, I keep the hard copy in my wallet. And I just got my recurrent, and I'll keep a copy of that probably, in the car or wherever I'm at, somewhere close. I'll take that back. I have a PDF of my recurrent on my phone. And just
I've got it folded up, and I just have it in between the card, and I stuck it in my wallet with it.
Yeah, I did a PDF of the recurrent, so it's on my phone. And I also keep all my COAs I have. I also have those on my phone in PDA format, so I can just pull it up and say, hey, here's my COA. I'm legit flying this area.
That's another thing with that UTM. It reminds me, out in Orlando, you can, for $15, you can get up and take a tour ride for $15 anytime. They're sitting there. It's a tourist thing.
Right.
How's that going to work with Amazon delivering packages and stuff like that? Those are
the $10,000 questions. Is that you have areas like you say, Florida?
Question.
Go ahead, Adrian.
I say more like $1 million question, Dre.
Yeah, you're right. But I say areas like Florida, New York, Hawaii, parts of California, where you have these helicopter tours that are real popular. Even in Arizona, like Grand Canyon, notorious helicopter flights come in and out of there. And you got to ask yourself, how is this all going to play out? It's just those questions that at our level, because we don't have all the information. That's why I tell people, at jobs. So most of us think in limited scope because we can't see the bigger picture. So all we can do is formulate ideals based upon what limited information we have. But once you move with the ladder to maybe from a regular worker to a lead person, or better yet, to a supervisor position, then the picture gets bigger because you start to learn about the budgetary items and the general plan and all that kind of stuff. And now your thinking gets a little broader on what needs to take place. So like I said,
wouldn't even want to be part of that UTM. That's too involved. There's too many moving parts.
Yeah, that's what I say. A lot of moving parts, and like I said, without us having as much information as those who may be on that panel or committee, it's hard to say because we don't see. All we're seeing is something through a people. That's all we're seeing through people, and they may have 10 times the amount of information and so forth of what they need to be looking at to make some decisions. I just know that to me it looks like a conflict of interest because of those who have been initially picked to be involved, and I don't see a good representation from the general public.
Let me see this. FAA DAC committee. It's a doc. I want to get those committee members up there again. No.
That's
Would it be
Robert.
under?
It should be on
Yeah.
you type in UTM committee.
Okay, that's the pilot program, research and development. No program. Here you go.
Partners and yeah, here you go.
No. What is this manufacturer's toolkit?
All right.
This is the sites where they're doing it. No, they're on phase 2 now.
Mhm.
Oh man, I wanted to see where that
That's it.
was.
No, I'm on. My parents want to get about 5,000, and we'll come up the rest.
UTM pilot program. All right. Probably smart sheet. What would that be?
What's that? Go back one spot, Jim. What's that? FAA, NASA, UTM Research Transition Team. Oh, that's the plan. They ain't gonna tell us that. They gonna tell who it is.
I know. Where is the members? I pulled up the members last time. Let me see if I can do this.
That's what I was gonna-
FAA Drone Advisory Committee. New member. Okay. Let's go to that. There we go. These are the members of the Drone Advisory Committee. So you got LA Transportation. Vic Moss, we all know him.
Yeah, but he's the only civilian that I know of.
I don't know which one's better for you guys. The only one I know is that Vic Moss there, but
Yeah.
this is not. Oh, look at this measure. Have you used any of their products? I haven't.
No.
Measure.
Never even heard of them.
They're another company that Pix 4,
Oh, is that right?
Drone Deploy, that kind of crap.
Okay.
They're an all-in-one.
Okay.
That Pix 4, is that Pix 4D, Jim?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, I'm looking here. You got somebody from Skydio on there. You got a guy from Body Alliance. I think I saw Amazon. Yeah, there's Amazon. Robotic Skies. Like I say, we know Skydio is no longer in the consumer business. They're all going enterprise level.
Right.
And stuff. So like I say, they're not going to be on our side. We know Amazon's not going to be on our side. This Robotic Skies is not going to be on our side. The guy in charge of American Airlines is not going to be on our side.
Who are these? Who's the Drone Service Providers Alliance? I never heard of that.
Me either. And I say by them being a drone service provider, it's going to probably be some company that either does something on the enterprise level, commercial level. And that's what I'm saying. Big Moss is the only name I see that I recognize who would be have some input on a consumer level. And that's about it.
Well, what happened to the remote ID, Jim? Is it already into law or not yet?
No, not yet. It's going to be a radio signal, a radio transmitter that you stick to your. It's going to have one to the remote and one to the drone, because it's co-location. It's locating where the drone is and where the remote controller is.
Yeah, that's a whole other animal in itself.
You have to buy, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, we're in trouble is the cost of such a thing. Now, I saw one already on an advertisement. I think it was on Drone and Sundry. I saw one that was an emitter that goes on the drone itself. But I haven't seen anything made for the transmitter yet.
Are they going to be expensive that you know of?
It's anybody's game. They gave them the same 18 months to come up with the product. I bet you that's going to go out longer because, look, you got this chip shortage now. I don't know if a chip's involved.
Yeah.
I don't know if that would even, but I start to think it becomes a software as a service type of thing. They were originally talking about SDR radios, software-defined radios back in the day, like 2 years ago. So I don't know where the hell the head's at now, to be perfectly honest with you.
Yeah, I'm hoping somebody, I always say somebody a lot smarter than us, like DJI or Autel or whatever, finds a way to do a firmware upgrade to the existing units that are out there flying. Because my thing is, if you start adding the different things onto the birds, you're going to start messing with the flight characteristics of the bird.
Correct.
You know, as far as additional weight, which means if you have more weight, guess what? You have less battery time.
Less battery, yep.
So you're going to lose something by carrying more stuff on there. And then there's always a possibility, whatever it is, if it ain't mounted secure enough, it can fall off. You know? And then you're out. You're out of this device, because what people have said so far is that I think it's something that you can put on different drones, or should be able to put on different drones. And that's what I'm hoping. It should be something in the firmware that every drone will have in it that can broadcast whatever this signal that they're talking about should have. And I think that'd be the best way to do it, is just have it done with an internal operations of the aircraft.
How tough could it possibly be? The FAA is going to define, or the FTC is going to define the signal,
right,
that it's got to transmit at. Bingo. You're already doing video transmission signals, and you're doing the radio remote control signals.
Well,
how hard would it be?
This is my thing. Just like last month, or the month before May, DJI kind of like tipped their hand for what they're capable of doing when they put that big old firmware upgrade for the smart controller.
Yeah.
Now the smart controller controls everything from a Phantom 4 version 2 to the latest thing that's out now. And everybody was just talking about 4 months ago, how the smart controller was coming to end of life. That firmware update just made the smart controller still viable for just about everything that you can go to the store and buy off the shelf right now.
You know what kills me? I mean, it's inside the house because I've learned my lesson with the humidity. But the Sendence remote controller, where the antennas are, it comes out like a tray. You can actually replace the insides of the transmitter. It plugs in. That could have been used and made so easily to add the NEMA system for RTK for measuring, for the Earth satellite signals that you get for satellite survey measurements. Mm-hmm. Everything could have been added so simply. It's just pull out, replace a part. And it looks like they dumped the Sendence remote controller in favor of the smart controller.
Yeah. And like I said, to your point, I just feel that technology is there already built into these things. It just needs to be a software upgrade. This is the only thing I'm looking at. I hope that's the way it comes out, because I just don't want anything to interfere with the flight characteristics and also losing battery time if you're adding weight to these aircraft. It's just, like I say, because about Mavic Air 2, not very big aircraft. Mavic Air, like I said, it's not big, and doesn't need additional weight. And even you're talking about something as large as a Latrice or an Aspire, once again, you're talking about battery time. Battery time is critical. And Jim can tell you, like I can, when you're out doing inspections, you don't have time to goof around sightseeing. You need to go in, do what you got to do, and get back. Because a lot of times I can tell people when I factor what I do, people are talking, well, I got 30 minutes of flight time. I keep my factoring back to 20 minutes. 20 minutes.
Let me tell you something. And when you start messing with guy wires from like cell towers and stuff,
oh yeah,
that's a royal pain in the ass. It's hard to see.
Hard to see. So that's why I tell folks that you know, I factor in 20 minutes per battery when I go out and do work.
It's not
and that
focused
way,
yet. Do it again.
it's slightly
Jim,
blurred.
not focused. Do it again.
I know.
Yeah.
I don't know what happened. I turned my return to home from 30% up to 35%, and I put the critical on 15.
Yeah, I have critical at about 20. Return to home normally around 30. And like I said, that's 30 is usually 20 minutes flight time. And like I said, I know I got extra battery. People don't figure when you factor in things, you're factoring how do you get to your first point, a waypoint, whatever you want to call it. You got to factor that time. And also wherever you're at on the job, the distance is going to take you to get back to your starting point. So like I say, you might hit 30% while you're in the middle of an inspection, but by the time it actually flies back to where you're at, guess what? You're going to be at 25%, 24, 23% easy.
And what we were just talking about, at that 11, 10, 11, 12%, it starts landing on its own.
Oh, yeah, it's coming down. It's coming down. And like I said, that's built into the system, DJI, especially DJI, that's built into the system.
Yeah.
That, you know, once the battery gets a certain level, because people look at the volts on it, that the bird will start to descend. And everything. It's like you guys are talking about flying into restricted airspace and TFR or whatever. And I mean, I've had it where I went from class G space and I ran into class D space. Same thing. The drone will get there and it act like it's hitting against a wall. And it'll buck back and forth for a little bit. And if you don't recognize what's going on, guess what? That drone will start slowly descending, start coming down on you.
It is a stupid program because I had a bunch of emergency COAs, right? All lined up to do these bridges. And all of a sudden, it starts warning me about this untowered airport that's behind me. And I don't give a crap about that, but I didn't know how it was going to react if it went into that airspace because I don't trust DJI. I've had too many close calls. I mean, I've lost connection with them out, 5,000 feet out. I just can't trust them, and it's a lot of money.
Yeah. Oh yeah. It's an investment. Just like I say, the only thing when you have a business, it's not, I don't even call it saving grace, but it's just a mechanism we have that we can at least write something off our taxes when we get a swell battery or, stuff like that, which doesn't really make nothing. I mean, it's $200 for a battery, on a Phantom or a Maverick 2 Pro, but still compared to taxes, you only get pennies on a dollar to write off, so I rack that up as operational cost and everything. I never break even on it. I lose and so forth. But like I can tell people, what happens is people don't recognize what's going on, and about time they do see the drone starting to fall because they have no idea that they're in a restricted area or temporary flight restrictions. The drone's starting to descend, and then they're in panic mode because now you only got limited control. You might only be able to keep it at the altitude it's at if you hold the altitude throttle all the way up, and then you better start tailing it back. A lot of folks are trying to hit this and do this and that thing's slowly coming down. And next thing you know, you're too late. And that thing's come on the ground. Or if you do get a little control, you don't run into something, trying to get out of there.
That's what I think we were wondering before. If that guy when he hit that TFR, it kind of went down with it like that, on a sliding scale. I wonder if he could have just brought it back to him.
Yeah. If when he first got there, if he would have went ahead and just back the drone up, held the altitude up, so once it backs up, it would have regained altitude, he'd have been probably okay. But he probably kept thinking, why am I not able to go forward? And he probably was still trying to tell the drone to go forward, and the drone was still starting to descend. And once he realized, I'm falling out of the sky, and now panic sets in. He's thinking about, I'm gonna lose my drone, all that kind of stuff. It's too late. The panic mode. Adrian, are you a little tired?
Yeah, he fell asleep on his own show.
When I'm holding class, you sit your ass up, all right?
Anyway, but
you sleep on your own time, Adrian.
That's right. You don't sleep on my time. You call me Mr. Hand.
Hey, are you having fun with that infrared or what?
Like I said, I just got the batteries in about a week or two ago, and it's been blistering hot out here. I don't want to take them out yet. But like I said, I was so mad at B&H, man. They sat on them things until they're out of stock for over a month. My order, and I say finally got them. And like I said, we've been where I'm at. I think the coolest day we had since I would say mid-June has been maybe about 95 degrees.
So you're part of that heat wave that's going on?
Yes, it's been the coolest day we had. 95. Everything's been right about 98, 102 every stinking day, dude. And I was like, no, I'm not going to do it.
Now, man, my electric bill would be through the roof with that air conditioning.
So that's why I got those solar panels on the house.
Hey Jim, I'm tinkering around the Mavic 2 Pro taking pictures, and I posted a little slide. I think it was like 10 pictures, something like that, yesterday. I think they came up pretty good, but I have to go ahead and start learning how to do it, how to mess with it in manual, because I did everything in auto.
Right.
But I think they came out perfect. And you know what I mean? I gotta call you and talk to you a little bit about that, because when it comes to you, Aldiaz, and Matt, you guys know a lot about adjusting. You know what I mean?
The settings. Yeah. The only
ISO and all the PS.
The only thing I suck at is nighttime shots, nighttime photos. I'm still not good at that. I don't do it enough.
I got a question for you, Adrian. And it's because I saw somebody else's video who was using. I didn't know they was using FPV at first, but when he took off, the bird was tilted, like the horizon tilt you used to get with those old Xenos, Huckman Xenos, and stuff like that.
Yes. Go ahead.
Now, my question, because I left a comment, says, hey, what's up with the horizon tilt? And he said, well, I'm flying the FPV bird. I'm like, oh, okay, I don't know about it. So I'm going to ask you, because I seen your video, and when you took off, it wasn't a horizon tilt from takeoff.
Correct.
So I'm asking, what's up with that? Do you have is there an automatic leveling setting? Or because you said using full sport mode, which tells me you don't have no additional settings to help level it out.
Correct. When it comes to that the FPV one, Dre, has 3 settings, which is your GPS, like a Mavic, your sports mode, which is still kind of flies like a Mavic, except now you're gonna reach tops of like 70, 72 miles an hour. And then you have your full acro, where where it changes the whole way, you control and you fly the drone. Now, when it comes to me, I fly a lot in sports mode. Now, if it's really windy, your horizon is gonna tilt. If it's not that windy, it's gonna be straight. That's the problem. There's no settings or there's nothing. Because there's been many times where I'm flying and it's going against the wind, it's tilting, but when it's coming with the wind, it's straight.
Right. And that might have been the case. I just happened to catch this guy who was flying, and that first thing caught my eye, like, why you got this horizon tilt on this FPV, And I'm like,
Yeah, I think they should do a firmware update to fix that. I think is a stupid, you know what I mean, thing to have. But I mean, that's just the way it is. But I've had it happen to me before.
Okay. Well, like I said, I just brought up as an observation to the guy, and he told me he was, flying the FPV, and I'm like, okay, I'll shut up, because that's not my area.
Yeah, I don't know nothing about it. Just with the guys I've seen doing it. At the meetup.
How's the house coming along, Dre?
Dude, you still see these cushions behind me and stuff. I mean, they finally came up the stairs to the second floor, and they had to put some thin set down because the original plywood boards were uneven. So they had to put
for the
this for the flooring. So they had to put this thin set down to make it level. So my flooring would be straight because they didn't have no gaps underneath it.
Right.
So that was a holdup. First, we had to redo the tops of the stairs because the house was 28 years old. I bought it when it was a dirt lot. So they wore out, so we had to fix that. And then this thing came up yesterday. So it's coming along, man. I told my wife maybe by Labor Day, we may actually have our house back, fully, pictures on the wall and all that kind of stuff. But it's just one of those, things you got to do. Like I said, I got stuff coming in. Like I said, redid my home theater system in the family room. I bought some more speakers for that to match the flooring and everything. The same thing here. I have a 2-channel system I put in my living room. Those speakers are showing up tomorrow. Today, I gave myself a little gift. I bought a second 24-inch monitor. So I got 2 twin 24-inch monitor, Dell monitors, 4K monitors. So that'll help with my workflow when I'm doing some editing work.
Yeah.
So
I'm not spending another dime until I can get a damn desktop PC together that I can count on because, after, I don't know if you heard about that scare I had because last Tuesday it was from out here, and it spent the week raining when we were supposed to get that Hurricane Elsa, but we didn't get it. It went up north and turned into just 100% humidity here, and of course it was raining 4 or 5 days. Well, last Tuesday I went to go turn on the computer. I left it out here. That's why I said to you earlier I learned my lesson.
Oh, okay.
Everything's in the house. The computer just started blinking. Nothing else would go on. So I quick unplugged it. That doesn't stop the blinking because it still has the battery power. So I had to quick take it apart inside. Literally took a hairdryer to it from all the days of the humidity. I'm using fans, but of course I'm just blowing the humidity at it.
Right. Well, check this out. It is so hot out here, Jim. My server in the garage, I have to worry about it shutting down because it's so hot in the garage itself. I was just walking in the garage. If I stand out there and get a computer out there, I'll just start sweating. Dude, it's like I said, it's 90 plus degrees in my garage and everything. So I'm glad I have my system. I just put my system back together the other day just so I can pay some bills. And that's unfortunate. I pay half my bills in the mail, the half online.
I've still got an HD DLP projector that I gave up. I unplugged it and put it aside when I got the HDR TV, the 65-inch.
Oh, okay.
What should I do with that thing? Because I still got that, and then I got the pull down.
Big old dog with a big old head.
The pull down screen. That big old white screen. I don't know if I can get much for that thing.
You'd be surprised. Well, like I say, what's the native resolution of it?
Oh, I don't know. I've had it. Jesus,
10
years.
Yeah, like I said, if it's at least still 720p, 1080p. If you
Oh,
buy
it's
a real
1080.
expensive one.
Yeah,
Oh,
it's
dude,
1080.
you can set that up on OfferUp. What do you call it? Facebook, whatever it is.
Don't let go. A whole bunch of people will buy that.
At the time, the biggest pain in the ass was the light bulbs. They come in a cage,
right?
And they're like $250 a light bulb, and they're only supposed to last like 2,000 hours or something like that.
Yeah.
I got one that just never burnt out.
Yeah, I got old projectors. I mean, the current one I use now is a Epson one I use in the backyard. But like I say, it's average lamp life is between 1,500, 2,000. We call looms or whatever it is.
Lumens,
and like I said, I only use it in the backyard when we do movies for the family or for the kids, and that's about it.
That's a cool idea.
Yeah, that's what I said. Keep it for something like that. Invite family over, or whatever the case may be, or for me, the grandkids. You got grandkids and stuff.
Yeah,
and they want to watch one of their Disney movies or something like that. Throw them in the backyard, put it on the projector and stuff, and go from there.
I forgot that they could start getting their driving permits at 15 years old, Adrian. My granddaughter just turned 13.
My son is 15, but he keep telling me he's still scared to drive, and I'm actually scared to let that little jackass behind the wheel anyway, because he barely
Dude.
learned how to ride a freaking bike, or he's still scared to ride a bike, let alone my freaking car. That ain't happening, homie.
He ain't got nothing to hit out there where you live at. He should have been driving years ago, driving a tractor around or something.
You'd be surprised. He'd probably end up hitting somebody's house 3,000 feet away from you.
I'm laughing because I got my youngest. She'll be 21 in September, and I'm trying to get her a license, dude. And it's just, I took her out about a week or two ago, and she can handle it, but I think it's just a confidence thing. Just a confidence thing with her.
Well, now that she's 21, though, because when they're 15 or something, you take a hell of a hit on the car insurance bill.
Out here in California, it's 25.
They have to be 25 before it drops?
Yep, 25 is when it drops.
Damn.
Yeah, if I'm not mistaken, here in Florida, I think it's what? Isn't it?
I don't know.
I believe. Damn, if I'm not mistaken, I think you gotta be 27 or 30 before you actually can get like a little, you know what I mean, be lower.
Yeah, because California's 25 because they won't even rent you a car in California until you're 25 years old.
I'm almost positive because when my ex-wife, she kept saying, "Why is your insurance cheaper or mine more expensive?" I said, "Because you're younger than me. That's the reason why."
Yeah.
I'm almost positive, Jim, but you know what I mean? If you want to go ahead and check it. But I'm almost positive you got to be 27 or 30 something to get like a nice little discount. You know what I mean? For safe driver.
I remember what Dre's talking about, though. You got to be 25 with a credit card.
Yep.
In order to rent anything.
So that's
so much as a U-Haul.
Yeah, California insurance company adopted that as the dividing line rule that, since they won't rent you a car until you turn 25, that's when we'll drop the insurance after you turn 25. And feel you're responsible.
Jim, Mike B, that dude is a character. Every time he come on my show, he just be talking all type of mess.
Mike's crazy.
He is.
Steve, Capture Life. Steve, he came back. He was gone, came back.
But it tells you we've been on here too long.
Yeah. We better. Oh, Jesus. Almost 3 hours. All right, guys. Yeah. Let's call it a night. Thanks, Dre. I appreciate you coming on, man.
Not a problem, man. I hope I'll be able to come on a lot more in the future. Just trying to get things done in this house now, and things are slowing down a little bit. So I will be around.
I see John doing videos on that drone. I guess it's on how to use it because you can't set the emissivity or something like that. But he said there's something you can do. I kind of skipped through his video. It was on Facebook.
About the Enterprise Advance?
Yeah.
I'm not sure. Cal put one out today, and he put up the same information I did. And like I tell people, it's a straightforward drone. It's not something that's going to be a glamour drone that's going to give you outstanding sunset and all that kind of stuff. It's pretty much a straightforward thing. It's made for like what it is. It's made for inspections. It's made for search and rescue, and that is about it. It gives you those things that you need. It's a tool. It is a 100% tool. It's not something that you be out and be artsy fartsy with, and that's the drone. Like I say, everything about it is the same thing as a Maverick 2 Pro.
That's why I thought the Maverick 2 Zoom. I thought that was a gimmick because
This one incorporates both worlds. It gives you the zoom capabilities in it that the Maverick Zoom did. And also, like I say, it's on that Maverick 2 Pro platform. So if you float a Zoom or the Maverick 2, this is just like stepping into driving the same car to go off the same lot.
You got the same batteries or are they bigger batteries?
No, batteries fit exactly the same. The only thing difference is the firmware. The firmware will change because of the heating element of the batteries for the Enterprise. So that's what happens. Smart battery. That's on. When you put it in, they'll tell you, hey, you got to do an update and stuff. And that's why I don't like the mix and match batteries for that reason. because one may have a difference in the system. That I always got to go out somewhere and fly, and now you got to sit there and burn a battery doing an update.
Right.
You know, so I'm like, no, let me go and order batteries just for this drone, and I'm good.
Now, if I'm not mistaken, Dre, I've seen that one online. If I'm not mistaken, that one is about 6,500, right? Something like that.
Yep.
The batteries, I think they've come down like $10. They used to be $159. I saw them for $149.
No, the 149 ones are the ones for the old Maverick 2 Pro. They've dropped a little bit in price. If you try to get one for the Maverick 2 Enterprise, they are 190 and change. With tax, it'll be just over $200.
So but you can use the Maverick 2 Pro batteries in it if you wanted to?
If I wanted to, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, do you need the heating element?
Not here in California, because like I said, the only reason difference is the firmware thing. If I don't want to like messing around with batteries going back and forth. If I had to go out and do something, I would take all my Maverick 2 batteries with me. If I go out and do a search and rescue, I'm looking for a kid, I would take every battery I had to go out there.
Right.
So hey, I got to do what I got to do. You know.
So that's one thing they did decent.
Right. Yeah. They kept the batteries the same. Primarily, it's just a firmware difference in them. That's it. Other than that, they fly the same flight time. Everything is the same on them.
You know, I know you were telling me about the M300, and I was looking at that. The batteries for the M210 are $700 each. I can't even imagine what those TB60 batteries for the M300 are. That's just got to be a frightening number.
Oh yeah. I mean, and that's why I tell folks. I say, you know, the difference in enterprise drones and consumer drones, maintenance. And when you look at maintenance, batteries. That's the killer point. That's the killer point right there.
That's why I keep telling people, stop doing drone missions for $40.
Yeah.
You look what your battery costs. Even if you're doing a Maverick 2 Pro, that thing costs you $2,000.
Yeah.
You got to make your money back.
And see, people realize, some guy was trying to tell me he was doing a 2D orthomosaic with one battery, something like 70 acres. I said, dude, you're not doing an inspection. You're just doing a flyover. And he says, oh, I'm doing that. I said, no, dude. I said, it takes me to do maybe 800,000 square foot tilt-up building warehouse. It takes me about 10 batteries because I'm only flying at about to do the whole property, you're flying about 150 or lower, usually about 115 feet. And you do the roof inspection at about maybe 60 to 75 feet. And you're taking pictures.
And I stop and shoot.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I told the guy, that's stop and shoot each picture because you want the clearest, precise picture you can get. You know, I said, that takes me an average of about 10 batteries. I said, you're going to tell me you flew 70 acres on one battery? I said, you weren't inspecting nothing. You're doing a flyover.
In sport mode.
Yeah, in sport mode. I'm like, I said, you missed me with that, you know. And he's like, oh, yeah, there's a difference in what you described and what I'm doing. I'm like, yeah, no kidding, dude.
You can't bullshit someone knows.
Yeah.
Well, I'm assuming he was probably just full of shit because he just knew what he was talking about.
Yeah, he was trying to tell me, oh, what are you talking about, dude? I just did this with one battery. I said, once I explained to him what I do, how it has to be done, because it's for inspection purposes. How are you going to see a flashing on an AC unit or whatever other thing you're looking at on the rooftop at 400 feet?
Do that again, Jim.
400 feet doing 60 miles an hour.
400 feet. Because the guy said, he put up a picture of his, he's using drone deploy, and he put up a picture of his settings. And even another guy said, you're flying at 22 miles per hour? I said, what the heck is that? I mean, you get a clear picture of anything. That's blurry.
I tell you something, Dre, you know I'm not a cheap bastard, but I turned around and learned, was it 4 years ago? I learned how to use quantum graphics, QGIS.
Mm-hmm.
I do my own damn photogrammetry.
Okay.
I'm not paying Drone Deploy $4,000 a year and Pix 4D. Screw you people. I'll learn how to do the software myself.
Yeah, I'll use their software just to fly the missions. Like I say, I tell everybody told me, well, I do that. I said, no, most of your commercial work, they're going to have a drone deploy account, or they're going to want it Pix 4D. This summer, I had to learn how to use the Ground Station Pro, DJI Ground Station Pro.
I started with Ground Station Pro. I like that.
I mean, that was not bad, except for it has the 99-point limit. And
Yeah, you got to pay.
Yeah.
They want you to pay now.
Right. And I was like, I said, that's the only thing I didn't like about it, because that thing, when it gets that 99 point, it would return to home on your butt.
When it first came out, though, the first 2 years, there was no pay.
Yeah. Yeah. So,
and this is what Adrian and I were talking about the other day. He said, Jim, what's the difference between a mechanical shutter and the global rolling shutter? I said, when I take a picture, I have to stop and take the picture and then go. Right. Whereas a mechanical can do 15 miles an hour and keep taking pictures.
Mm-hmm. But even then, like I say, it depends on who you fly for. They might require you to do that. Stop and take a picture. Stop and take a picture. And that's what that's why I tell people. I say you need to learn at least 3 or 4 of these grid pattern software: Drone Deploy, Pix 4D, and Ground Station Pro. And you need to learn this stuff because it's going to be required of you by the customer. They're going to say, "Hey, we have an account. We'll put you on the account for this mission. When you're done, they'll kick you off the account." Now,
Jim.
Yeah. Mike.
Hey, man. Hey, Mike is
I'll look at the stuff on weekend. Hey, Jim. Adrian, I'm about to bounce, man.
I'm going to, man.
See you later.
Thanks for coming.
All right. No problem.
Hey, Jim, thank you for having me, buddy.
All right, buddy. Good night, everybody. Thank you.